Uy, kuyugi ko, nganong di man ka kuyugin ako, bisan dili ko gwapa. Kahibalo ko, mustorya sa kaagi sa una. Sa mga bayani, nagigira lang para sa kuma. Isumutasma, andam mo away mamatay. Uli, unsa ko pa, bumanggi atay. Kuyugi lagi ko, di man ko mamugos. Kuyugang muga ko sa kagahapon ni umabon. Kuyugi lagi ko, di man ko mamugos. Kuyugang muga ko sa kalayo ni tupas. Andam tao pa ng subo para malingkawas kuyog nimo. Magkuyog na ta, pagdali na diha. Ngano di ay, nganong di man kaganahan. Kumta na to, ang sundang nila pula-po. Leon kilat, flores sa gargadyo. Isod mo tasman, andam mo away mamatay. Ulipon sa gugma, gumanggi atay. Kuyugi lagi ko, di man ko mamugos. Kuyugang muga ko sa kagahapon ni umabon. Kuyugi lagi ko, di man ko mamugos. Kuyugang muga ko sa kalayo ni tupas. Andam daw ba ng subo para malingkawas kuyog nimo. Kundi ko nimo kuyugan, inunti kag talawan. Di nakakatilaw sa humba o kinilaw. Kuyugi lagi ko, di man ko mamugos. Kuyugang muga ko sa kagahapon ni umabon. Kuyugi lagi ko, di man ko mamugos. Kuyugang muga ko sa kalayo ni tupas. Andam daw ba ng subo para malingkawas kuyog nimo. Kuyog nimo. Kuyog nimo.
𝗕𝗵𝗃 the Cebu Heritage Hotel, in partnership with the 𝗕𝗵𝗃 Foundation Incorporated, the Bisdak Pride, Diyandi Heritage Center, the Central Visayas Association of Museums, and the University of San Carlos present to you this exciting event commemorating the Women's Month. Yawa, the demonization of women and the LGBTQIA+, from colonial to modern Visayas. Maayong hapon once again, maayong hapon sa tanan. Daghang salamat for being with us once again in one of our exciting events. So this is a very exciting event, and we will find out kinsa si Yawa, who is Yawa. There have been so many discussions about this online on who really is Yawa. Guwapa si Yawa, because the one photographed in our poster is very beautiful, and someone said, guwapa lagi ilang Yawa. Sa amo, dili guwapa ang Yawa. In our place, Yawa is not beautiful. So, we will find out this afternoon who is Yawa in Visayan history and in Visayan culture. And we will also find out, were the women demonized, or the LGBTQIA+ demonized in colonial times? Or is it only the ancient religion that was demonized? So this is really an exciting event. So we invite you to give your comments and questions as we go along, as we would read them. But those on site will have we will also have a portion for you to give your comments and questions for our panelists this afternoon. So we are celebrating this month. So earlier this month, we celebrated the International Women's Day. When was that? Abdi kayo ako mga panelists. Sa audience, did you know when is the International Women's Day? March 8th. So you are from what place? From Cebu, but what's your nationality? Half alien? English, from Britain? Yes, so we have an audience here who is half Bisaya and half English. And so we are so happy that also that you are celebrating the Women's Month with us today. So we also earlier also this week, we also celebrated we are also celebrating the start of the Ramadan. And of course, we also are one with our Muslim brothers and sisters, as Ramadan is considered as one of the holiest months of the year for the Muslims. In Ramadan, Muslims commemorate the revelation of the Quran and fast from food and drink during the sunlit hours as a means of drawing closer to God and cultivating self-control, gratitude, and compassion for those less fortunate. So fasting really is not just not partaking of food and drink, but always thinking of those less fortunate. I remember some also who are celebrating, for example, the fasting in the Roman Catholic religion, that some would fast and then they would offer the budget they allotted for the food for really the less fortunate. So this month also we will also celebrate the Holy Week. So that would be, we already celebrated the Ash Wednesday last February 14, remember? So we discussed in February 14 sex and religion, and we also celebrated the Ash Wednesday at that time. So now at the end of this month, last week of this month, is the Holy Week, and the Holy Week would start on a Palm Sunday, and it is the beginning of the Holy Week, and it rejoices in the triumphal entry of Jesus into Jerusalem. And did you know that the Holy Week in Cebu is a historic week? It's a historical week in Cebu. Did you know that the Battle of Tres de Abril in 1898, and that's the opening salvo of the uprising of the revolution of the Cebuanos against the Spanish colonial rule. It commenced The Battle of 𝗪𝗓𝗃 happened on a Palm Sunday in 1898, and that's 126 years ago. So, and they also actually planned it for Good Friday, the Battle of 𝗪𝗃𝗃, but they moved it earlier to Palm Sunday. And did you also know that, so that's April 3, 1898, the Palm Sunday of April 3, 1890, the Palm Sunday of 1898 is April 3, Battle of 𝗪𝗃𝗃. And did you know that Leon Kilat, the hero, the general of the Battle of 𝗪𝗃𝗃, was betrayed and murdered in Karkar on Good Friday, April 8, 1898. So this is in parallel to the plight of Jesus of Nazareth. But the victory of the revolution of Cebu against Spanish colonial rule happened on Christmas Eve of 1898, and that's December 24, 1898. And you would see a depiction of that there at our painting. So the University of San Carlos students, anthropology students are already looking at the painting of the victory of the 1898 Cebu Revolution that happened on December 24. So our venue right now is we are at the lobby and we have a balcony. So we have a balcony part at the gallery. So some audience are there at our gallery of history. So gamay na lang din ako today in history. So we have also like this today is also a very significant day in the history of our archipelago. Did you know what happened today, 503 years ago? So our team would like you to know that we are celebrating the Lenten season with meat-free dishes. So we have our bestseller binignit and also some meat-free dishes. So 𝗕𝗵𝗆𝗆 𝗵𝗀𝗆, unsa di siya kanang pinaypay, unsa di siya turon. Sige. So today also 503 years ago, did you know what happened 503 years ago? Did you know what happened? What did Samar experience or the Visayas experience 503 years ago? Wala mo kabalo? It's in the page of palm grass. So 503 years ago today, the Magellan expedition. So that's March 16, 1521. It's in the song of 𝗕𝗺𝗍𝗆, March 16, 1520. Asa nagkanta ni Yoyoy? March 16, 1521, Magellan discovered the Philippines. So that's according to 𝗕𝗺𝗍𝗆. So 503 years ago, the Magellan expedition with 3 ships, so the Trinidad, Victoria, and Concepcion, sights the southern tip of Samar. And the next day, they cast anchor at Homonhon Island. So one of our resource persons today studied well about this fact in our history, how Homonhon was a sacred place for our Visayan ancestors. It is a very sacred place and it should be honored and respected supposedly until today. It should be respected until today. And there is a marker there marking it as a place where Magellan's expedition landed 503 years ago. So we would also recall that in 1519, so that's 3 years before they arrived in Samar, in September 1519, the Magellan expedition with a fleet of 5 ships and 235 men set sail from Spain for Moluccas, the Spice Islands, and Magellan took the uncharted Pacific route. So this is the first time that they took another route, so the Pacific route. So 8 years before that, in 1511, Magellan already reached Malacca in Southeast Asia with the Portuguese and bought the Malay slave Enrique. So there is a proposition that both Magellan and Enrique, because when in 1511, they went back to Spain, to Europe, in the usual route. And when they came back, they took another route, the Pacific route. So thus, when both Magellan and Enrique de Malacca arrived in the islands of what is now known as the Philippines, so there is a claim that both had circumnavigated the world. And there are also claims that Enrique was of Visayan or Cebuano origin because he communicated well with the Visayans. But there are so many versions of this that he was speaking the the market language. So we don't know, so we would ask the historians to explain more about this. So of course, regarding the claim that Magellan discovered our islands, we would say that even before Magellan came to our archipelago, our ancestors already traded with the Chinese, with the Southeast Asians, with the Arabs, and others. So another fun fact was that when the Magellan expedition went back to Europe, when the survivors of the Magellan expedition went back to Europe, they found out that their calendar was actually a day behind. So therefore, all the events in the account of 𝗵𝗃𝗃 actually took place 1 day later of the date given. So our references for this, of what I said, was from Antonio 𝗵𝗃𝗃, The First Voyage Around the World, from 𝗕𝗵𝗀𝗀𝗀 𝗀𝗃𝗃, A History of Christianity in the Philippines, and from Dr. Risil Mujares, The Feast of the Santo Niño. Naapa ko? Wala na ko'y nakita sa akong kuwan. Sige. So, mao na siya. So, daghang salamat to all our audience. So, daghang salamat to 𝗬𝗂 of the CTU main campus. Thank you for joining us. So, from 𝗬𝗂𝗃𝗃, I don't know what BECED. So this is a course. So, and also Miles from CTU Main. Hyra is watching from Pateros National High School. Magandang buhay. Daghang salamat for joining us. May Montebon from CTU Main Campus. Mylene Liwag of Pateros National High School. Maris of CTU Main. And Daniel Nino Paclihan, I think he is watching from the USC. Wala. So Daniel is watching also. Maayong hapon. Cherry is watching from GECRPH. Donna is watching from Tipas National High School, Taguig City and Pateros. Ina from Pateros National High School. And also Luis from SDO Tapat, Shana of Pateros National High School, James says hi, Cassandra says hi, Rose is saying hi. So daghan pa ni siya, warag dili ra ko ni mabasa tanan. So we would also like you to know, before we introduce our resource persons, we would also like you to know, we would once again celebrate this award that was received by PAMGRAS, the Cebu Heritage Hotel, during the Charter Day, February 24, the Charter Day celebration of the Cebu City Government. So in this, on the 87th Cebu City Charter Anniversary, PAMGRAS, the Cebu Heritage Hotel, got an award as an outstanding institution. So it received, PAMGRAS was awarded with the Outstanding Institution Award in sincere appreciation of its unwavering commitment to preserving and promoting Cebu's cultural legacy through engaging exhibitions, book launches, and diverse events, cultivating a profound appreciation and understanding of Cebuano history among youth and local communities. So daghang salamat for this award. So we owe this award to all our collaborators, all the stakeholders, all the youth and children who worked with us in promoting the Cebu heritage and history, to the historians and artists of Cebu in different art forms for promoting Cebu heritage with us. So we also would like to thank our partners, the partners of 𝗵𝗃𝗃 𝗂𝗵𝗆 Heritage Hotel, the 𝗕𝗵𝗃 Foundation Incorporated. We want to thank the Vice President for Academic Affairs of the University of San Carlos, Father, saan yung pag-pronounce? 𝗕𝗺𝗃 SVD, and Antonia Pen SVD, because he really responded to our invitation to co-host and to co-sponsor this event and to send students or to encourage the students to listen to this, to watch this forum. So daghang salamat to USC Vice President for Academic Affairs. We also thank the University of San Carlos Department of Anthropology, Sociology, and History. And also to the University of San Carlos Department of Communications, Linguistics, and Literature. Naan na sila? Wala pa. Online ra sila. O nipakpak na sila ang taga-anthropology. So you are from the Sociology and Anthropology Department. So we also thank the Bisdak Pride, Diyandi Heritage Center, and the Central Visayas Association of Museums, because 𝗵𝗃𝗃 Galeria Independencia is a proud member of the Central Visayas Association of Museums. So we also would like to recognize our online and on-site participants. So aside from those I mentioned, to those who commented, so please, to those online, please comment your place, from where are you in the Philippines or in the world. So we also have with us 𝗕𝗵𝗃 Wing from Canada. He is the administrator of the Visayan Culture page, and he is also an advocate of the Visayan culture. And the Visayan Culture page has members from all over the world, all advocating for Visayan heritage. So 𝗕𝗵𝗃, daghang salamat. He says congratulations to 𝗵𝗃𝗃, much deserved. Thank you, 𝗕𝗵𝗃, and thank you also for being one of our resource persons in our coffee talk here at 𝗵𝗃𝗃. So Christine, and yes, we also would like to recognize the presence of Dr. Levi Lanaria. He was our panelist in our previous discussion last month. So he is from the Department of the Religious Studies, sana siya, Theology. He is a Catholic theologian. So we would also like to recognize those who registered online. So some of those who registered online come from these institutions or organizations. We have someone who registered from the University of Cebu, University of San Carlos, University of Southern Philippines, University of San Jose Recoletos, University of the Philippines Cebu, the Cebu Doctors University, Cebu Technological University, Cebu Normal University, Visayas State University, Eastern Visayas State University. So we have, aside from participants from Cebu, we also have participants from Eastern Visayas, and Visayas State University is also in Eastern Visayas, right? VSU, Eastern Visayas State University. We have also participants from Pioneer Filipino Trans Men Movement. Thank you very much for the Trans Men for joining us. And also Davao del Sur State College, DIPAG, Rainbow Collective. So this is an LGBTQ advocate, an organization advocating for the LGBTQIA+. We also have someone who registered from the Provincial Government of Bohol, Center for School and Arts Development. We also have someone from Samar State University, and we have someone from the St. Francis Xavier College. So where is St. Francis located in the Philippines? Do you know where is St. Francis? We don't know. So daghang salamat to the curator of the Cagayan de Oro Museum, JC Salon, for watching. Also Rona from CTU, 𝗕𝗏 joining from California. Daghang salamat 𝗕𝗏 for joining us. And we have Yan from CTU Main Campus. Olga Belisario, from where are you, Olga? We have Bungot King, our winner for the last events trivia quiz. Bungot King, from La Liga Reenactors. So daghang salamat for joining. Mabet says magandang hapon. Clemens is BECED. And Malu is from Taguig City and Pateros. Lena Agravio Alaro says hello. Daghang salamat, Lenny Agravio Alaro, for joining. And Romalyn. So, our event this afternoon is really very exciting. We will have a panel discussion with our resource persons, and we will have, stay tuned for the exciting also trivia quiz with amazing prizes. And so we will only have 2 questions because we will also have a cosplay contest and a special presentation from our previous winner of the Nagmalitong Yawa. Si Kuani Kukoy ni? Watch. Huh? Friend of Coco, you look similar because of the hair. Yes, and so we have our cosplayers ready. Are they ready? Ready na sila? Kaya introduce na ako sila. so we would like you to know. So before we introduce they are upstairs, Laura, nasa sila sa taas. So we would introduce to you our cosplayers this afternoon playing Yawa, the beautiful enchantress and diwata, Nagmalitong Yawa. So before that, we would like you to know that we have upcoming events. So tonight, there is a sayaw party at 𝗪𝗲𝗃𝗀𝗃𝗃, the dance party at 𝗪𝗲𝗃𝗃𝗃. So on March 31 is Easter Sunday. So there is ang importante buhi, Easter egg hunt. So to those who can understand Bisaya, usa gani ang importante buhi. So it's actually a funny line for the Cebuanos. Ang importante buhi. Saan na yung pag-English, be? How do you say that in English? Basta mauna siya. Saan pag-English, ana? Ha? What's important is you're alive. Whatever happens to you, what's important. So of course, Easter is the celebration of new life. So it is the resurrection of Jesus Christ. So it is a celebration of new life. And so the egg is a symbolism of new life. So and there are other symbolisms for Easter. So also on April 3, we would be celebrating the 126th year of the Battle of 𝗪𝗪𝗃. Please invite all the grade 6 to 10 students who knows how to say poetry to honor our heroes through their verses on the spoken poetry contest. The deadline for the submission of the poem is on March 25. So this is open to all grade 6 to 10 students in the Cebu Island with a poem not more than 3 minutes, either English or Bisaya or a mix of English or Bisaya. Deadline for submission is on March 25. Only 15 will qualify to perform on April 3. On the 126th year of the Battle of 𝗪𝗪𝗃. Also, on that day, on April 3, asa ang Battle of 𝗪𝗪𝗃. So we have a battle making the Visayan Heroes Alive celebration on April 3. So we would be having, there is also a reenactment of the Battle of 𝗪𝗪𝗃. Asa ang Battle of 𝗪𝗪𝗃? Ang Battle of 𝗪𝗪𝗃. So, also there will be conversations with those who performed, who made plays on Leon Kilat. So, Pamgas the Cebu Heritage Hotel is one of the producers of 𝗵𝗃𝗀 𝗀𝗃𝗀, and 𝗵𝗃𝗀 𝗀𝗃𝗀 is a play about hero Leon Quilat, about the children of Junquera Street going back in time to see the battle of 3 de Abril and the revolution of Cebu against Spanish colonial rule. And we will have a descendant of Katipunero, Iris Alinio Fernandez, one of our panelists in that on April 3. Also, we will have a teacher and a student of Ateneo de Cebu, Sacred Heart School, Ateneo de Cebu. They are producing right now a play on Leon Quilat. So also they would be here. I mean, they would be interviewed and they would be panelists in this event. And also on that day, on 3 de Abril at 1 to 6, Making Our Heroes Alive, we will have also a message from a descendant of Leon Quilat, 𝗕𝗵𝘀𝗆𝗆 Sipayo. So the real name of Leon Quilat is Pantaleon Villegas. His great-great-grandnephew, his descendant, is going to also speak to give us a message on this celebration of the 126th year of the 3 de Abril. And so we are also excited to let you know that we will be having a heritage fashion talk. Actually, the staff of former Senator 𝗵𝗂𝗍𝗃 reached out to us, and former Senator 𝗵𝗂𝗍𝗃 wants to talk about heritage fashion. She was a publisher. She published a book, how many years? 2030, in 1990s, about sinaunang habi, or ancient heritage weaving, or sinaunang habi. So it's the Philippine ancient textile. So former Senator 𝗵𝗂𝗍𝗃 would be here to converse with us about heritage fashion. So, and also, stay tuned for the May 10 𝗕𝗑𝗍 Kabilin. So right now, 𝗕𝗑𝗍 Kabilin has announced that there would be free tickets. So it would be free entry for all sites. There is a ticket that is free, but the premium ticket would give you the Tartanilla ride and bus rides. The regular ticket, which is free, is only free entry to the participating museums all over Cebu. There are so many museums, like, is it more than 20? Is it now 20? 22. So there are now 22 participating museums, and it's all free if you get a chance to already register, but that ticket has no free Tartanilla ride, no free bus ride. Usa pay dili free ana, only the entry ang free. So ang premium ticket has free Tartanilla ride and free bus ride, and usa pay free, wala na, more to. That's all. So if the premium ticket costs pila 300 pesos. Only 300 for all 22 museums from 6 p.m. to 12 midnight. And Pamgas de Cebu Heritage Hotel, Galeria Independencia, is one of the participating museums for Gabi sa Kabilin. So join us on this Night of Heritage in Cebu. So karon na, so okay na. May I have the participants on site, the list, so that we can recognize before we introduce our panelists. So daghang salamat to Olga Belisario from Department of Anthropology, Sociology, and History of USC, Rona, CTU Main Campus, and also Seth Estrada Fresnosa from Pateros National High School, Chelsea of Pateros National High School. So daghang salamat for joining us. Joshua Andrino is also says hello. So Joshua is a teacher of the University of San Jose Recoletos, also a cosplayer and our host in some of our events. So daghang salamat to the Cebu Urban Poor Women's League for joining us. So also Alliance of Concerned Teachers, they also have members who are here from the University of San Carlos Museum. Daghang salamat. Department of Anthropology. We have also other students from the University of Southern Philippines Foundation, USP. Asa mga taga USP? Ato ara saluyo. So daghang salamat for joining. Also from asa mini WRCS. Curls. Asa si Curls si Von. Von. So we have also from the Curls. So ready na sila. Di ba mag-post? Pwede na sila daan diha. Di ba na sila daan dire? Di silang paso. Later na silang paso during sa contest. So we have also from MACMP. Wala ako kabaloon sa meaning sa MACMP. From DIAS Cebu City. We also have from Ratires organization from Ramos Cebu City. Daghang salamat. We also have from the USC Linguistics Department from Palabra. We have poets here. Na mo? Asa ng taga USC Palabra? Pa sa taas. Daghang salamat for joining. We also have a student from UP Cebu. Asa man ang mga taga UP Cebu? Asa ang taga UP? Di na mutugan at narar diri sa kilid. So, and also a student from CTU. Asa ang taga CTU? Prepare your questions and your answers to the questions kay namoy amazing prizes you are able to answer the question. So, also we have from USC Psych Society, Psychology Society. Asa ang taga USC Psych Society? Hala, di mo tugaan ang mga taga Psych. So, thank you very much. So, daghang salamat to all our on-site audience, bisan sa wala ma-mention. So please share this event page to your friends so that they would also know who is Yawa. And so now we would like to introduce to you our cosplayers. So do we have already, can you show them? So our cosplayers for Nagmalitong Yawa or whoever Yawa is for them. So we have our contestant, Alinis from Iligan. So moagir na sila. So a round of applause for Alinis. So next we have Nagmalitong Yawa of Camotes, Chari. Camotes ni Bantayan. Camotes. So Chari. So we have Nagmalitong Yawa of Candulawan, Stephanie. So we have Stephanie of Candulawan. And we have Nagmalitong Yawa of Masbate, Bea. So we have Bea. So, and also Nagmalitong Yawa of Leyte, we have Joshua. Pwede sila? Can we show all of them? May we show all of them now? Yes, so we have all our cosplayers for Nagmalitong Yawa. So they would be explaining their costumes and they would be answering questions from our judges because this is a costume and brains costume, beauty, and brains contest. So stay tuned for their answers to the questions and for them to explain their costumes. All beautiful Yawa. So daghang salamat to all our brave and beautiful contestants. So stay tuned for them. So now we would like to introduce our panelists. So daghang salamat to the University of the Visayas Community Extension Service, 𝗕𝗵𝗀𝗆𝗏 for watching, and also Felisa from Taguig Science High School, and Clemens from CTU MC. Seth is from Pateros National High School. So daghang salamat for joining us. So remember that we would request you to write your questions at the comment section of this Facebook Live event for us to give them to our panelists. But then we would also have a question and answer, like an open forum for our on-site audience after the conversations with our panelists. So first, we would like to introduce to you our one of our on-site audience. Our on-site panelists, one of our on-site resource persons. Our resource person is a gender advocate. She is a published author of the Philippine Sociological Society, and she published "You Can't Have Our Land: Land Grabbing and Feminization of Resistance in Alugidsan, Cebu." And she also has and author of other articles published by the University of San Carlos. And she is a gender scholar, and please help me welcome the chair of the University of San Carlos Department of Anthropology, Sociology, and History, Dr. Lenny Ocasiones. Ang audio.
Yes. Mayong hapon ka natong tanan, Ms. A, and to all our on-site guests and to all our online participants. First time here, so a bit excited.
Yes, daghang salamat, Dr. Lenny. So she is our resource person for the first time here at 𝗵𝗃 𝗁𝗂 Heritage Hotel, and it is an honor and a pleasure to have here with us this afternoon, and also with her students here. Kinalan mamakpak yun mo plastel na nga pakpak. So our next resource person, we would like to introduce to you our online resource person. She is now based in France, and she was also one of our panelists in our discussion last 2020 or 2021 regarding 𝗬𝗵𝗀𝗆 and the religious leaders in pre-colonial times. And so she is an organizer, a community organizer, a project coordinator and chair of the Iloilo Pride team. And an Iloilo Pride team is an LGBTQIA organization in Iloilo City, and we know this is a very active LGBTQIA organization, and they have achieved so many things in Iloilo, and she has led the organization in multiple internationally funded projects. As project coordinator, she has led and managed multiple organizations and successfully delivered services and projects. Please help me welcome our resource person who is now an organizer of Bahaghari in France. Please help me welcome 𝗬𝗄𝗄 Inoceto.
Maayong adlaw sa tanan. Maayong adlaw man sa mga nanonood at sa mga on-site natin at sa mga kasama ko sa panel. Maayong hapon mula sa malamig na Paris, France. Bonjour.
Yes, so and we would also like to greet 𝗬𝗄𝗄 a happy birthday today. It is her birthday today. So asa na to cake? Asa na to birthday song?
Happy birthday to you.
Asa na ang cake?
Birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday.
Natay cake, wa pa mo abot na delay ang delivery. Isiga na na. Di wala na yung kandila.
Wow.
Oh, Nana.
Nice
It's a purple cake.
Wait lang.
Natay picture, ani? So, ang problema, ani, kay dili ka kaon si 𝗬𝗄𝗄, ani. So, 𝗬𝗄𝗄 will not be able to eat the cake. It will be the panelists here who will eat the cake. Daghang salamat.
Daghang salamat.
So, daghang salamat for that. So, happy birthday, 𝗬𝗄𝗄. And so, we are
Thank you so
celebrating
much.
the Women's Month with your birthday. So,
Yes.
next, we would like to introduce to you our another on-site resource person. Our resource person is our Suki panelist in many of our events here, and he has completed his PhD in history at the University of Hull in UK in 2019. In 2015, he was a co-awardee of the National Committee on Historical Research NCCA/NCHR Young Historians Prize for his MA thesis entitled The Pulahan Movement in Leyte from 1902 to 1907. And in 2021, he was awarded the Philippine Social Sciences Council's Virginia Miralao Excellence in Research Award for his article, 𝗁𝗂 Rizal in Emotional Landscape of Samar and Leyte at the Turn of the 20th Century, and is published by the Philippine National Historical Society. He is a Visayas historian, and he has been our resource person in our most engaging, so many views, and our events with him had so many views like 𝗨𝗚𝗕 nudity and fashion in pre-colonial Visayas. He was one of our resource persons for that, and one also of the most engaged events was Santo Niño versus Diwata, and that was last year in January, last year Sinulog celebration. And also, he also talked about the amulets and the revolts in the amulets of the revolts in the Visayas. So he is now an assistant professor in history at the Department of Anthropology, Sociology, and History of the University of San Carlos. Please help me welcome Dr. George Emmanuel Burinaga.
Afternoon, ma'am, and hapon, and good afternoon to our viewers, both online and in person.
So, daghang salamat, Dr. George, for joining us. So now, so you already know you'll have a panel discussion. You'll have your reaction also from. May we show Von? Our reactor. So we will have our reaction from Curls Incorporated. Unya na lang, wala na ito practice. So from Von, is it pronounced as Von? Yes. So we will have Von as our reactor after the conversations with our resource persons. Makitaan si Von? Makitaan? So kala si Von. So she will be our reactor this afternoon. And so aside from the reaction from Von, we will also have an open forum for those on site. And we will read your questions as we go along. So right now, we are going to start our panel discussion. So we will have this question first for our resource person celebrating her birthday. So we have Irish based now in France. We would like Irish to tell us about, Irish is from Iloilo, from Panay, and so Nagmalitong Yawa is a folklore. It is a folklore. Supposedly before that, ay sa aha kay i-show sa dato si Kuan. I-show sa mo. Pwede i-show sa mo. I-remove sa to kadjit la Iris. Actually, this should have been shown at the start. So we will have a special presentation later of our grand winner for our cosplay contest, Saka. So we will have our special presentation later from our Nagmalitong Yawa grand winner in 2021, 𝗕𝗵𝗀. Ready na or di na lang? Anya na lang. So makita na sila. So kinsa ang kuyog contestant ting usa no? Special presentation gihapon. Another version of Nagmalitong Yawa. Pwede na closer sa ila. Di man sila kuan siya na kanang against the light, so pwede. Yes, so that's the one on top is Nagmalitong Yawa, our grand winner for the cosplay contest in 2021. That's 𝗕𝗵𝗀. And her companion is, kisa ning usas? Si Gapa? Goddess of death. So and with her is goddess of death. So Sidapa. So si Dr. George ang nag-enlighten sa ako of the correct word. Daghang salamat for our guest cosplayers. So now we go back to Irish to tell us about the Visayan folklore character Yawa.
Maayong agaluwat. Okay. Initially, yung sinasabi nila na ng word na Yawa ay galing kay nagmalitong Yawa. Nadidinig po ako. Okay. So we discovered a discussion by Christian Heyo and Talagi for the De La Salle University for the origin of the word Yawa. Kasi sabi niya, naging uso yung curse word na Ting Yawa, which is basically was or Visayan term of Visayan curse, no? He said that, or they said that, Yawa does not come from nagmalitong Yawa. It came from the Javanese words about spirits and demonic, according to Christian folklore. Spirits in the mountains. And nagmalitong Yawa was actually named after that word Yawa, which is also a mountain in Samar. But for us, for this discussion, we're talking about nagmalitong Yawa. Nagmalitong Yawa was tulid noon o abukid noon na panahig-anon. For your information, they are collectively known as tumandok or taga-doon. Sulot, panayon, or taga-bukid became like a derogatory for people for indigenous people in Panay. Now, nagmalitong Yawa was binukot. Binukot is human, o babae na tinago ng pamilya para maging cultural bearer ng kanilang tribo. Binukot are one of the most revered bearers of community. In our wait, wag ko nang kung 19 we actually met the last binukot in Panay, no? And she was filled with tattoos, and also din anak sa community nila, and also bearer, cultural bearer. So healers din yung mga binukot nat. So nagmalitong Yawa was the wife of Guyong Saragnayan, who was kidnapped by Labaw Dunggon. Okay. Labaw Humadak nun. Okay. Ang dami kasi nilang stories, no? So na kidnap siya, tapos nirescue siya ni from Sinang Kain. Okay. So sa topic naman nila ni Labaw Dunggon, nagmalitong Yawa, the wife of Guyong Saragnayan, and Labaw Dunggon was given permission to marry nagmalitong Yawa. Nag-away si Labaw Dunggon at Guyong Saragnayan, and si Labaw Dunggon, the sons of Labaw Dunggon took revenge against Guyong Saragnayan. Sorry. And Labaw Dunggon was rescued. Guyong Saragnayan was killed, but before he died, he gave permission to nagmalitong Yawa to marry Labaw Dunggon. Because of that, nagmalitong Yawa cursed Labaw Dunggon. only babae lands then were also given the power to curse o magsumpa ba? Magsumpa ng tao. Okay. And then, there's also 𝗏𝗵𝗆 and nagmalitong Yawa story. 𝗏𝗵𝗆 was the nephew of 𝗕𝗵𝗀 and 𝗏𝗵𝗆 was kidnapped by fairies. And nagmalitong Yawa was asked by ang boy ginbitinan to help 𝗏𝗵𝗆 and nagmalitong Yawa rescued 𝗏𝗵𝗆 but killed him in the process. He was asked to resurrect 𝗏𝗵𝗆 and that's how 𝗏𝗵𝗆 and nagmalitong Yawa got married. So in this case, nagmalitong Yawa was a binukod and a babaylan. And because of that, colonial past, the Spaniard wanting to demonize the local cultural bearers, the more powerful women, they were called as evil or pagans or practicing demonic culture. Also, you have to note that the babaylan were not only women; they can be men, but they have to embody.
I would like to break first because our audience are saying online that they cannot, there is an echo and they could not understand the discussion. I would like to ask our online audience if my audio is okay right now, or Ellen, because Ellen was the first to say that my audio is okay, but Iris' audio is not okay. There is feedback. Are you opening something else, Iris?
No.
Is it, maybe
Wala.
it's better that she will not use the headset? Huh? Maybe we will try not using the headset, just the speaker from the laptop.
Okay, one moment.
Because our audience says there is a feedback and they could not understand clearly the discussion. Huh? So we have Suka Noni Nono watching, Renai from Taguig City and Pateros, also Mabeth, they're all saying there is an echo, and Alan from Davao is watching. Daghang salamat for joining, and also 𝗕𝗵𝗀𝗆𝗃 from, it's an honor to be here, and he is watching from the island of Mactan, and 𝗕𝗵𝗀𝗆𝗃 is a tour guide who is also a healer, and he is a healer because he would be able to diagnose what's your illness. I'm so surprised because my illness, he said, you're very healthy, but your illness is loneliness. Wala, di na tinuod. Nasipyat ka, 𝗕𝗵𝗆𝗃. Whenever I see the audience also advocating for Cebu heritage, I'm always so happy and I'm not lonely. So, unsa man, okay na si Irish? Mobalik ta kang Iris? So, sige Iris, please continue your discussion.
Hi, naririnig na ba ako? Is it much better?
Ay, we cannot hear. Ano, we cannot hear lagi. Iris, we can't hear.
Hi.
Yes. Sige.
Better. Okay. So, nasa na ba ako? So, ang sinasabi natin na ang mga babaylan ay hindi lamang babae. Pwedeng maging babaylan yung lalaki. Pero kailangan nila mag-embody ng feminine character. So, or in that case, for now, I think they're more of trans women. Okay. So, dyan ang gagaling na ang LGBT ay hindi kaiba sa pre-colonial history natin. And hindi siya Western concept. LGBT or lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans, queer, intersex may be English terms, may be Western terms, but they are not strangers in
Irish,
our culture.
Iris, we would go back to you kay our audience. Did we use that device when we had our tech test? Is this the same device? Pag test na to niya, okay na to? Before, katong pag-test na to niya, na live na to? Na live na to. Then okay to, ato nga time. So, Iris, we would go back to you. The team has a problem with echo in your device. Maybe the settings that we had when we had a technical test, pwede na to ibalik ang kung what was the device. What was the device used? So, Iris, we would go back to you for we would go back to you because the audience as in online is saying, but it's okay here sa on-site, no? Ang audio ni Iris, but not sa online. So, thank you very much, Iris. We would go to the last part of your discussion. We would go back to you later. So, so now we would like to ask our historian from the University of San Carlos to tell us about the ancient Visayan religious leaders and their role. So this is from Dr. George Borinaga.
Okay, I have a slide for this.
Please show the slides of
question,
Dr. George.
But Irish already started discussing some of those roles. So let me just perhaps continue what was mentioned earlier. So the first line is actually the shortest I could find that describes their actual role of these ritualists, mga religious figures in pre-colonial times. So it comes from the Baxter Codex, which just saw its second edition from 𝗵𝗊. So these religious leaders were described as practicing a form of worship that was called mag-anito or pag-anito in other sources, in which old women and Indios dressed as women officiate. So that was what was mentioned earlier, that there were these males, pero they identified as like the women, so they had partners, they engaged in sex with men, but this group of persons, they were also quite important in the ritual life of the Visayans, as well as the other natives of the Philippine Islands at the times. So there are a number of terms that are recorded in sources like Father Alcina. So we have terms like bailan, bailana, asog, which refers to those priests wearing women's clothes. So you also have the daetan, which has a root word daet, which is befriended, so befriended by spirits. And another priestess, the Katoran, which was described as Alcina as having a very high status among the babaylans. So these were the highest paid among the ritualists. And of course, a more familiar term to us today, because this is still used, including in Samar and Leyte, the tambalan or mananambal. Those who know the herbal medicine, so they know of plants and other mga curative mga sources that was later used by the missionaries in order to convert the natives. So we will see later an event that in which the missionaries themselves became like tambalans. But what's interesting from the Alcina account is perhaps this one about the asog, considering themselves more like women than like men in their mode of life, relationships, and even occupations. And another interesting note, this time from the Boxer Codex, but referring to the Tagalog ritualists, suggesting that these cross-dressers, the so-called asog in the Visayas, but in the Tagalog areas, they were called bayug or bayugin. So very similar to the bayot term we use today. They were said to be mas bongga, more pompous, more ceremonious, more authoritative in the performance of these rituals. So they would often go into a trance, so the diwata, the spirits, would possess them and they would dance around, and that is the basis for that later demonization, that they were possessed by the devil. But these were actually either ancestor spirits or mga diwatas who were possessing them. So that's from the Boxer Codex, suggesting that these bayog or bayogin, or perhaps also among the asogs of the Visayas, they had more authority as the old women who were known as babaylan. And there's a note on sorcery, but this is the negative representation by the missionaries, suggesting magnang budol sila, or they were deceiving the people in order to fill their pockets.
So, daghang salamat to Dr. George. So, we would know, so he discussed, so he continued with a discussion about the folklore character Yawa, and Dr. George discussed about the ancient Visayan, the leaders in the religious leaders in the Visayas. So only women and the gays or the feminized men can be religious leaders at that time, and the feminized men are called asog or bayugin. And then I also remember this article by also an LGBTQIA advocate, J. Neil Garcia, who mentioned that also in his studies that in ancient times, in ancient Visayas, the colonizers would not actually identify if the religious leader is a woman or a gay or a feminized man, because they dress the same. So according to Dr. George, they dress so pompously, so very gaily, very colored. So Visayans are like that. So because Visaya, according to also Father Francisco Alcina in one of his dictionary of words, Visaya comes from the word saya, or the Visayans are a joyful people. We always sing, we dance. So during rituals, dancing is always present, and also singing. Aside from feasting, eating, and drinking, there is no feast without drinking. Even rituals have drinking. And also, according to one of our resource persons for the fine arts of UP, he said that the colors of the Bisaya is always colorful. So, daghan yung colors, you are not monochromatic. So, colorful yun na. So that was why when historian Ian Alfonso was here, he comes from Pampanga, and he said, in their place, they would say, if someone is wearing so many colors, there are other people would say, para kang Bisaya. So ang Bisaya day, daghang kay color. So, kung daghang color, mo na ang Bisaya. So now we would like to ask our gender women advocate, Dr. Lenny, to describe the role of the Visayan women in the pre-Hispanic period.
Yes, thank you. Maayong hapon once again sa atong mga participants. I just would like to emphasize that during the pre-Hispanic, pre-colonial times, societies were mostly egalitarian. Yes, there was division of labor. Men would hunt, but women gather. And these are considered complementary roles. Walay mas taas, walay mas ubos. No? And thus, kanang atong tanaw karon nga kay babay ka, pangbalay ka, or kung lalaki ka, you know, like you have to be the one to bring home the bacon. That was not present then, no? So mo nang kung tanaw nato sa naistorya ni Irish o ni George nga na ay very important roles, no, that women and the LGBTQIA population had during the pre-colonial times. Importante nga makita siya nga ang kababayan gitagaan og much importance, no? Because they were not just priestesses, they were also healers, but they were also even warriors, no? Always counted by their communities, by their tribes, to be part, no, of the development, no, of their very own villages, of their very own societies.
So, dahil salamat, Dr. Lenny, for elaborating on the role of women in the pre-Spanish period. So, the women were healers, religious leaders. Of course, any activity in society cannot be done. There would be no activity in society. The warriors cannot go to war without the ritual of healers. You cannot eat without the ritual of healers. You cannot build a house. You cannot cut a tree or anything. You cannot cross a river without invoking the spirit, the spirits. And of course, there should be rituals in everything. Even in right now, indigenous peoples in Mindanao, from birth until death, there is a ritual. And the ritual right now in the indigenous peoples, it can already be done by men. There are already bailan or healers who are men, but in pre-colonial times, only the women and the men dressed as women can perform the rituals. And no activity. So, of course, the spiritual leaders are the ones who could foretell what would happen to the future, to your activity, to whatever you do. So, the women and the gays, we would say that the women and the gays were very powerful at that time, because without them, there would be no activity in society, because there is always a ritual for anything at that time. So now we would go back to France. So we hope that the audio is now okay. So we would go back to Irish. And so to continue what she has not discussed a while ago, so Iris, please continue regarding Yawa, and I would continue also after your discussion. We would give you the next question for you.
Okay. Okay na ba?
Okay, now we would like to ask the online audience, because here it's okay, and to those online. Sige, Iris, please talk.
Okay, nagmalit ng Yawa. Was both binukot as well as
Wala na,
kabaylan.
wala audio. Na-off lagi ta.
Okay, baka yung speakers
Are we
nag-echo.
na-off ka sa online, on-site? Or is it okay online? So, unsa man? Ha? Nag-echo pa? Ipastorya ko na. Iris na.
Okay.
On ko. Wala lang ko. Nag-on ko. Pero wala diri. Sa site. Iris, please talk.
Okay. As we were talking about Dunggo.
We can't hear her on site. We can't hear on site.
Okay. Ang hirap talaga pag LDR na.
Echo still. Meron pong echo. So, ibalik na to. Remove sa si Koan. Remove sa si Irish. We will go back later.
Okay.
Pwede remove sa si Iris? Sige. Wala ko yung audio. Wala audio on site. Wala audio on site. So, we would also like to show you. So we would go back to Iris in a while. So asa naman? Wala audio on site. Gravity, we actually had our technical test for 3 days. Not like 1 hour per day, but
Hey, so-
there are things that would happen. Did we have a babaylan ritual before this? Wala, no? We had
Meaning kuan ra ang ato ang padung sa speaker out na to. Wa na tandog. Wala na wala mo. Amo pa sang gi-check ma ang audio sound site nawala sa speaker madungog ra ta sa online. Wait lang. Oo. Wait lang.
Ngogra mo na ako, diha, bisag walay microphone. Di kadugog. So, di labi si George, di madunggan. So we would like you to know that, tig naputol ang
Sound check. Hey.
sige, so, nag-delayed din
Sound
ang
check.
live. So we would like you to know that we have our books here at our basa. Madunggan ko online. So we have this book by William Henry Scott, the Pre-Hispanic Source Material. So these have references. So William Henry Scott have listed here some pre-Hispanic materials or items. So this is available here at Basahanan, our bookshop at Pamgras de Cebu Heritage Hotel, the Basahanan, Ilumaya. We also have here the book on looking for the pre-Hispanic Filipino. So this is, so to those na sa taas, paminaw na lang mo sa live. Nag-fix pa sila sa on-site audio sad. So looking for the pre-Hispanic Filipino, also by William Henry Scott. This mentions about the 𝗲𝗵𝗀 and other articles on the pre-Hispanic Visayas or Philippines. And also, we have also this book by 𝗕𝗶𝗀𝗆𝗀𝗆, The Initial Encounter. This actually discusses the resistance of the Visayans and even in Luzon against Spanish colonization. So this mentions how the 𝗲𝗵𝗀, our bar at our roof deck bar at the 7th floor, is named in honor of warrior 𝗲𝗲𝗵𝗀. On May 23, 1565, he launched a revolt, an ambush against the troops of Miguel Lopez de Legazpi. He is not usually known in Cebu, but in our archipelago, in history, warrior 𝗲𝗲𝗵𝗀 is not usually discussed, not as much as Lapu-Lapu, but he is in 1565 when the Spaniards came back. 44 years after the Battle of Mactan, it was 𝗲𝗲𝗵𝗀 who led a 2-year revolt against Spanish colonization. And he was the only one who did not pledge allegiance to Spain on May 1565, when Legazpi hostage the sister-in-law of Tupas and nieces and asked for all the chiefs of Cebu to go to him and pledge allegiance to Spain, else the hostages would not be freed. And it was only 𝗲𝗲𝗵𝗀 who did not go to Legazpi. All the chiefs, including Tupas, pledged allegiance to Legazpi. Maybe it's just a pretend, it is a show, it is a mock peace agreement. But 2 years after, actually, 𝗲𝗲𝗵𝗀 was found out and he was beheaded by Miguel Lopez de Legazpi. And it is not here. It is in 𝗲𝗲𝗵𝗀 is mentioned here in this book by William Henry Scott, and also 𝗲𝗲𝗵𝗀 was also mentioned here as the only chief who did not go to Miguel Lopez Legazpi and pledge allegiance to Spain. So are we okay? Wala pa tayo audio on site? Wala tayo babaylan ritual karon. so we would like to say hi to 𝗕𝗵𝗀𝗆 of the University of the USC Political Science Society. They also said that they are watching. Also, April Olis saying, wow, I will certainly get a copy of those books. So, April, please send a message to the 𝗕𝗵𝗀𝗆 page and reserve your copy of the book. And we also thank Keisha Marie Laguna, watching from the University of Cebu. So, this is from UC, AB Political Science Program. Daghang salamat to the University. And also Abing, UC Political Science, and John Andre from AB Pol-Sci of UC, Lee Resma, AB Pol-Sci in UC. So, Osaman, continue na ta? Okay ta sa online. Wala na problema sa ta on-site. Same atong speaker? Same sa atong rehearsal yesterday. Nagyoy mga incidents na how much bisag usaha to prepare og 3 days something would happen on the day. So wala to we have that made a babaylan ritual today. So thank you very much. Okay na. So thank you very much and to Raul Gabriel Buzon for joining. So Raul is a graduate of history of the University of San Carlos, and he is now at the BLP Commercial. So are you at the BLP Commercial, Raul? So he is now at the BLP Commercial, and Raul is actually also a cosplayer. So, but he has not joined our cosplay contest here. So he usually dresses anime, baka Raul. So daghang salamat also to history student Leandro Beltran. Nawagtang Leandro Beltran for joining us. And also, Carl is from UC Political Science. So, hi Leandro. Daghang salamat for watching. So now can we now go back to France? Balik ta sa France? Okay na. Sige, Irish. So, please continue.
Okay.
Yes.
Ang ganda lang parang pabalik lang ng Paris. Mahal yung pamasahe papunta dito eh.
Yes.
Okay, nasa na ba ako?
Ang PowerPoint ni Irish, please. So, you discussed about binukot and babaylan, Yawa as binukot and babaylan.
Yeah.
And, yes, please show. Echo gyapon. Nagyud ta problema. So ang imong kuan Irish, ang imong headset, if you don't use your headset, just are you now using a cell phone?
Yeah, nadidinig na ba?
Kung direct sa cellphone,
Bation man.
How about that? Okay na? Sige, please talk Irish.
What na feedback?
Please kanang kuan ang volume of your cell phone. Isa ka ang volume.
Nakasaka na ni.
Asaka na?
Oo, full volume na ko.
So okay na? Mas okay na karon. Wala na echo.
Okay. Mao ginang problema basta
So we have Banaya. So Raul is not a cosplayer but an avid fan and a convention goer and reporter. And Banaya is watching from UC Pol-Sci. MT is watching from Taguig City and Pateros. DepEd Taguig City and Pateros. Sige Irish.
Okay. Yung babaylan natin, kanina ni Sir, na ano, demonize na siya at colonial pa. Okay? So, kasama yung pag ng uh, gays natin o trans women na nababaylan. So, then, before kahit sa ito, may word na regarding gay. Tawag is age. It's spelled A-G-U-E. Nakita yan sa isang historical books. At meron actually ito na it was times photo ng lalaking nagkatapis kami ng mga kababaihan. And ang sa kanya isa. Dahil natin sa dahil ang colonizers patriarchal, kailangan nilang ibaba sa kababaihan kailan our cultural pillars natin. Kasama na doon yung mga big natin, cultural pillars. So, initially yung Yawa na term, kung titingnan natin na ginawa ni Tagi na sa DLU, hindi siya nagmalitong Yawa. Pero nagmalitong Yawa after Yawa. So she has Yawa is said to be a character, okay? Embodying a character. So yung galing ba ay nagmalit Yawa? Why not? Kasi nagmalit violence were nice. It cut the organization of the Batas or mountain that were said to be embodying demonic characters came from the practice of celebrating spirits. Katulad ng are having tech. We said that baka di tayo nun ritual, no? Kasi every time that people did some they had to revert their babayan. They had to prepare for activities. So the Diwad also present in cultural practices of the every time they started lasting, they had give evidence to it. And the Spaniards came, the colonial arms of religion and the so had this disconnect the Filipinos. Also disconnecting the babayan from our society. And the only way they can demonize it from culture Philippines. They portray as witch, as sorceress. So bakla,
So, daghang salamat, Irish. I think the online can now hear properly. The on-site are the ones who can't hear properly. So, maybe we also have a problem in our on-site audio. So, Irish, we would like you to know regarding, we would like to know also from you regarding, we would like to ask you regarding the role and the situation of the LGBTQIA+ in pre-colonial times. So we hope that our on-site audience can hear already properly. Okay na ang online kang Irish, no? Di gihapon, naagyapoy echo.
bawasan ko
Naagyo echo dito. Nag-echo kuno Irish. Diho. There is an echo.
Baka yung feedback, nagfi-feedback kayo sa Speaker, nag-feedback sa live ninyo.
Actually, we can't hear her properly, dire on site. We can't hear properly. Di ba during our rehearsal, we heard her properly? Did we check the online at that time? FB Live, it was also okay? The FB Live at that time? Get na-check ninyo when we had a rehearsal? Do we have the same gadgets, Irish, when we had a rehearsal? Did you use the same gadgets?
When I started, I was using the same gadgets. Now I shifted mobile.
So the first time when we had an echo also, the gadgets that you used were the same gadgets you used when we had our technical rehearsal.
Yes.
Ang problem it was not here. We were at the 𝗪𝗲𝗃𝗃 when we had a rehearsal with her. It was not the same setup right now. So can we go back? I will ask later kang Irish regarding the LGBTQIA+. So i-resolve sa ninyo. So now we go to Dr. George to describe more about the demonization process. So Dr. George discussed the ancient religion a while ago. Now we would like to know the demonization process of the ancient religion, how the ancient religion was demonized.
Okay, let me just go to the slides. So the reason I referred it as a process or demonization process is that there's a pattern that emerges from reading the sources. So there is a sort of systematic way in which they cast aside, destroyed ang mga physical objects linked to the ancient religion. So those pieces of pottery or ceramics, the idols, the carvings that represented either ancestor spirits or environmental spirits, and also mga places, mga sacred sites like village altars or sites for mag-anito, that generic term for the rituals. So in sources like Father Chirino, for instance, or in Brewer, 𝗬𝗃𝗃𝗁, this is a consistent pattern where first they would confiscate objects like the carvings, the native idols, and they would not just throw it directly to the fire. Often there is a sort of humiliation. So ilang insultuhon, they would say bad things about these objects, try to humiliate the ancient gods or the spirits that they were now demonizing before they would give it to the children. Okay? Often it was the young children who they would convert first. They would befriend these children and they would be the main agent that would assist these priests in visiting the towns, in convincing their parents to convert. So they also had a role in this process, and including, of course, their datu parents. Kay the parents, especially the higher rank datus, kay they had a strong influence on their followers. So if they convert the datu children, it would be easy to convert the entire community. So there is these descriptions of how they would mock and they would spit on these images before they were stepped upon and thrown into the fire, or they would confiscate the ritual pottery, including those which were found which had inscriptions na mga decipherments of what these descriptions or inscriptions meant, and often they were the prayers recited by the Babaylanes, by the Asogs, the Bayugin in the performance of these rituals. But it's not just these objects for rituals or the sacred sites, but mga ordinary places like the river banks in which there were a lot of trees. Okay, they would also plant crosses, and there would be a statement, for instance, that the people were no longer afraid of traveling along these rivers because the crosses had scared off the spirits that resided in trees, in mangroves, in the baliti tree, the nonok, that were also found in abundance in these transit areas. So the ancient roads nila were the rivers. On the other hand, these trees were also, especially the big ones, the old ones, these were regarded as sacred. So often the priest would show there was no spirit, and you will not get sick, you will not be punished. And they would recite prayers before cutting off the branches and eventually cutting down the trees or an entire thicket. So a group of trees like a bamboo thicket that was regarded as sacred, for example. And finally, the Christian icons like the saints, the Agnus Dei nga medallion, or the Latin prayers would also be used to cast away the spirits from approaching the new converts or the community in which they were residing. So the second way in which this demonization happened was through changes in the meaning of words. It wasn't just through activities or through prayers, but even in the way they used words, there were changes that we see in these, for instance, these dictionary entries. So araba, which is to invoke, to ask a favor, okay, they were now in reference to God, to Holy Mary, so that they would be helped. So they were saying, if you get sick, you ask favor from God who can cure you, but do not seek anymore the favor from the Yawa or the devil or from the ancestor spirit or the umalagad, even if we die, especially for a recovery from death by invoking them. Or in the meaning of Diwata, we also see this demonization process where they would saying the Diwata were these false and abominable gods of these deceived ones. So the Maniwata, the ritual dedicated to the Diwata, was indicative of their pagan status. So they would sing, ang mga Bisaya ko no, they worship the mountains. So here we will see figures like Malaon, who was associated with Canlaon volcano, the trees, example of course, the Nonok or Baliti tree, Dakit, the crocodiles, which was believed to be their ancestors, ang kaninga crocodiles which were found in abundance. The locusts, which were associated with Inilaon or Laon, so you made gods of them all. So this is from a single entry on Diwata. And lastly, ang harang or hadang, kay it was another term for the mag-anito, or in this meaning, it's offering to the devil, but it has already taken on a good sense. So this is around 1617 when it was first written down, but published only in 1711, the Sanchez Dictionary. So more as worship of an offering made to God or the saints. So they were again changing the meanings. Instead of offering a sacrifice to the ancestors, to the spirits, the Diwata, okay, they were now offering it to God, to the souls in purgatory, to Holy Mary and the saints or the Holy Rosary. And in the Sanchez Dictionary, we have a lot of words in which Yawa appears in the examples. So often, Yawa is used in terms of mga temptations or misdirecting the Visayans. So words like limbong, deception, to trick, to muddle or to blind you, to possess, to choke. So all of these had examples in which Yawa is mentioned. So the sense is that if you want to be saved, do not fall into the trap or the deception of these spirits, these figures of the ancient superstition, as the missionaries would call it.
So dahil salamat Dr. George for giving us this new knowledge about how our ancient religion, the Visayan ancient religion, was demonized by the Spanish colonizers. So we would also know, for example, from this book published by Pamgas del Cebu Heritage Hotel by Genesius C. This is A Short History of Cebu from 1500s to 1890s. And what Dr. George said about the children being the ones being taught and being asked to destroy the ancient images, the Anito images. So it is here in this book by 𝗂𝗔𝗍𝒍 that this mentions how the children of the natives were being catechized. So they were the ones who underwent catechism under the new religion, and they were given incentives like they are given kamote to eat or tuba to drink for them to go to the Catholic catechism. So it is also in our discussion, for example, in the past with, for example, we had our discussion about the sculptures in ancient times in pre-colonial Visayas. And our ancestors would usually fashion an image to represent their ancestor who already, their powerful ancestor. For example, a very powerful babaylan or a powerful warrior, a powerful dato, they become anitos. So the dead, so that is that umalagad? Is that
Umalagad.
umalagad? So the term used for the ancestors who died and who had powerful characteristics, they become anitos also. So they would, so according to some, they had no church. So our ancestors had no church. In their houses, in their homes, they had altars for their anitos, and some of those are their ancestors. And those images were described as very ugly by the Spaniards. The Spaniards would describe them as very ugly. So our gods or our ancient, the images of our anitos were described by the colonizers as hideous or very ugly. So now they taught the children whom they catechized to destroy those images, to spit on them, to desecrate them. So, and they would burn. So even when Magellan came here in 1521, he asked the dato who were baptized to destroy the images. So of course, we don't know if they destroyed some of them, so they destroyed, but they also massacred the Spaniards on May 1, 1521. So maybe it's a retaliation because they were baptized, they got baptized. It is a political act for them because they were told that if they wouldn't get baptized, they would all be killed because the King of Spain is so powerful. So of course also, we have this book from the father of Dr. George Barinaga. There are artifacts, there are pot shards, there are inscriptions, there are still, even if the colonizers destroyed the ancient ritual pots, the ritual pots of our ancestors, some remained and were dug up, and so Dr. Rolando Barinaga, the father of Dr. George, transcribed the writings on the pots. So these writings are actually the writings were the chants or the prayers of the babaylanes, and some were translated. Translated into, it's transcribed deciphered by Dr. Rolando Barinaga. So one of our references when we research about the history of music, Dr. David Irving, he wrote the Colonial Counterpoint, and he mentioned that there was a very wide literacy for ancient writing in the Visayas. So before the Spaniards came, so usually we would know that what remained is only oral tradition. But one historian, he's now in Barcelona, but he wrote his book when it's an University of Oxford, and he said there was really like the Visayans were literate. There were so many writings, and they could write and they could write in our ancient language, but we have very few remaining artifacts about that. Only those in the ritual pots that we can see now. So they destroyed everything. So that's why most of our like literary artists would say nothing is left. Our literature was oral tradition, and they haven't known that we had writing, we were literate before the Spaniards came. So now we would like to have, again, Dr. George to elaborate more on the demonized spirit world being. So those, our ancient gods or goddesses or diwata, deities were now demonized. We would ask Dr. George to elaborate more about this.
Okay, so as mentioned by Irish earlier, that the word or the name Nagmalitong Yawa, according to some research recently conducted, it might have come after the colonization. This popular man nga post that it might have been the source for the Yawa name. But regardless of which is which came first, we can use this term as a way of finding out more about what the pre-colonial spirit world was like. So if you use Yawa as a search word, for instance, you will come across in the dictionaries references to various other spirit beings that some of which are still familiar to us today, although the belief, the narratives might have changed since pre-colonial times. So this prayer, for example, is found in a text called 𝗪𝗲𝗪𝗀𝗆𝗀𝗆 𝗪𝗏𝗪. So it's a sort of rule book for children. So they mentioned earlier of children being a key agent in conversion. There was actually a document, a set of mga prayers and instructions on what children should do on a day-to-day basis. So it was a sort of guidebook on their everyday life. So there is one prayer there for the Virgin Mary in which references to the ancient spirit world are mentioned. So this is sa pagngaran kan Santa Maria, or a prayer on the naming of Mary. So the first stanza goes, her name was Mary, anitaan hitanan sulad nun. So sulad was the equivalent to purgatory in pre-colonial times, but in this sense, it is now used as to mean purgatory in the Christian sense. So they were appropriating these mga names, mga aspects of the belief system, but at the same time trying to demonize other aspects like the term diwata. So sakit hinglaw diwata, illness given by the diwata, sought salvation from Lucifer. So again, that process of demonizing the ancient deities and saying that Mary was the one that would cast away these beings like the 𝗤𝗏𝗆 or the 𝗕𝗏𝗃. So she was the damat or the epidemic or death for these spirit beings. So the connection between Mary and epidemics we will discuss later. Pero in the second stanza, there is mention, for instance, of because of Mary, there was no diwata that went to town. So this can be a reference to the mag-anito, to the ritual in which the diwatas, the ancestor spirits, are invited to feast with the living humans. But because of the presence of Mary, they were now being cast away or dispersed, as indicated in one word that I was able to decipher from these prayers that are in the what we might now call the 𝗪𝗪𝗪 language. So 𝗤𝗏𝗆, we will see, is still familiar to us. 𝗤𝗏𝗆 or 𝗕𝗏𝗃, mermaid. So these are all still used but demonized in such Christian texts. But the other Yawa definition or meaning that emerged in the Spanish period was to refer to the pagans. So if you were Yawa pa, you were still under the influence of the pagans, And this is found both in the Sanchez Dictionary, 𝗖𝗵𝗀𝗃𝗃, or you are still a subject of the demon, or still an infidel, or in Father Alcina's Chronicle, where he has this theory that Yawa might have come from Java, the island, because he believed that these Visayans had come from Java. But another meaning for Yawa is as a type of spirit. So these are the forest spirits that were regarded as malevolent or dangerous, so they had to be properly appeased when you are hunting or you are using resources from the forest. So they are known as Banwaanon or Banwanon. But this is the basis for that argument that Nagmalitong Yawa might have been a new name because in the Alcina Chronicles, there was a male Yawa that is referred to as Lord of the Forests or Señor del Monte, to which people in Ibabaw, in northern and eastern Samar, they performed a ritual called Pagyawa. So si Yawa, the forest deity, was referred to as a Banwaanon or a forest spirit, but they also had this Pagyawa ritual in which the first hunted boar is offered so that the Yawa deity could grant more game nga madakop by the hunters. And this is the other word used, I think mentioned also earlier, the onglo, which this time is now referred to as a Yawa or a Jablo, but it still has that Diwata meaning in the Sanchez Dictionary. So they say that the onglo is a big figure that sat on a lawaan tree, stepped on the deep sea, whose nail is a 𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪, so a handspan ang iyang nail of this figure or this being. But by the 1890s, in the dictionary by Sanchez de la Rosa, he is no longer known as a Diwata, but just as a very tall man who lives in the forest and referred to as a witch or sorcerer or a ghost. And this is what I discussed earlier about the Nagmalitong Yawa possibly emerging during the Spanish period, but it might have referred to another deity in pre-colonial times that had a different name then. Kay mali in Hiligaynon, or according to the 𝗵𝗏 Dictionary, kay it means to take the form of. This example from the 𝗵𝗏 Dictionary, kay to take the form of the devil. So other possible Yawa candidates would include si Makaandog, who is a figure in Eastern Samar folklore, described as a giant, an ancestral giant, who replaced the so-called Makapatag Diwata that was based in Homonhon and might be linked to the frequent typhoons that passed through the area. So Makapatag at the Spanish contact, when Homonhon was an uninhabited island, he was considered as the greatest of the Diwatas. But today, for Makaandog, there are rituals like the Paghadang, which is very similar to the Pagyawa ritual described by Alcina. So hunters still offer sacrifices to Makaandog and his siblings to be able to hunt wild game. And of course, another possible Yawa was Laon, who was the greatest and most powerful and said to be the mother of Makapatag. So she was believed to be based in Mount Canlaon, but she was the one to whom farmers offered rituals for good harvest. Pero she could also send locusts if she was not happy with humans. But by the 20th century, Laon in Canlaon had been displaced by a new entity called a Sota. If you look at the descriptions in the 20th century, demonic na ang features like having a skin tone of half red and half black.
So, daghang salamat, Dr. George. You have already so many questions online. So there is one question. There is one question from CTU main campus from 𝗕𝗵𝗍 Reyes, and she is asking, I have a question, and hope you can answer. How can we address the misconception that Yawa is a negative, devilish term and educate people about its true meaning in Visayan culture? So, can we still do it? Can we still change the meaning of Yawa? Or she is asking if how do we address the misconception of Yawa and educate people about its meaning in the Visayan culture?
I think mga activities like this one is already part of that.
Sige,
Trying to learn about
Dr. George is answering your question, 𝗕𝗵𝗍.
the old meanings, so what it meant to the Visayan people in pre-colonial times. So the expression Yawa as a bad word or a pejorative, I think it's part of our history. We were colonized. It was used as a generic term to displace the ancient beings. But if we know more about the original meanings, so the belief system of the people at the time, so perhaps that can help in changing that misconception.
So, daghang salamat, Dr. George. So, we have Las Piñas historian saying, watching here from the city of Las Piñas. So, TG Tulets is saying that the indigenous peoples, taasa ni imong libro, actually the comment of TG is, he is already summarizing all our discussions and belief system, and during the pre-colonial period, the indigenous Filipinos practiced a variety of beliefs, and he mentions pag-anito, bathala, ancestral worship, the natural spirits, the diverse pantheon of deities, animistic beliefs. Unsay reference ni mo ani TG? TG, it's important to note that these beliefs and practices varied among the different indigenous groups in the Philippines, reflecting the diversity of cultures and traditions across the archipelago. So there is another question from Las Piñas historian. This may be answered later, so we will just take note of this. Is the palaspas used during Palm Sunday similar to palaspas used during pre-colonial period when they do pangayaw? Pangayaw is the war, the indigenous warfare. So later we will have that. So Dave is watching from UC, also Claudine. There is a question from 𝗍𝗏𝗃. I remember that 𝗍𝗏𝗃 is one of our winners in trivia quiz. Is the goddess Yawa the same person in which a river was named after in Rawis, Legazpi, in the legend of Magayon and Panganoron? Do you know about this, Dr. George? Regarding this river in Legazpi named after for the Rawis, or is it? We don't know.
It's Bicol na, I think. No.
Bicol area na ni. So now we go back. So daghang salamat to Dr. George for the discussion about how our deities could be the Yawa, and also how Yawa changed its name from the different. Nawag ko akong audio. Nawagtag ako audio sa okay na. The word Yawa changed its meaning in the different dictionaries throughout the Spanish colonial period. And now today we only know Yawa as the devil, right? So we didn't know that Yawa was a deity, or Yawa, there was a ritual for the deities named Pagyawa. So we didn't know about that. We only know that the translation now of devil is Yawa. So along with the demonization of our ancient religion and the spirits, the deities of ancient Visayas, also those who who worship the natives, also the religious leaders who were women and gays, are also being demonized. So we're also being demonized. So now we will go back to France. We hope the audio in France is better now. So you would like to know from Irish if you still have, you are still going to discuss your slide on Yawa, your summary. Ma-show tong last nga slide on Yawa ni Irish. Was it already shown? No, next. Next
Okay,
pa.
okay.
Kana,
Okay.
Sige, Irish.
This actually is just the summary of what our other panelists already talked about. Kung ano yung pinanggalingan ng sinasabi pinanggalingan ng nagmalitong Yawa, ano sila yung mga Yawa na spirits, Yawa na giants. But I would like to also talk about the word Yawa being a curse word and how we can use it as a word of power for the Visayas. The queer people are very good with reclaiming the power of words. We know that the word queer before was derogatory. What we do is we reclaim the word, we embody the strength of the word. If we look at the word or the source of the word Yawa, it's about somebody who has the strength to change the form of another person, being so-called demon, of a warrior, of a kidnapper, probably because it is related to hunting at that time. And also we can change it to us now that we can change our features. Like for example, our trans siblings from born being male, born being female, they can change into their own identity of women or men or trans men or trans women. So we can use the power of these words as the science, not to curse other people, but to tell them that there's power. Instead of saying Yawa ka na masamang word, you can say Yawa ka because malakas ka. Ang lakas mo ba? So mas mababa ba yung ball? Okay. Natin. Okay na ba?
Yeah, okay. Is Irish audio okay online? So, Iris, thank you very much for summarizing about your research on the folklore character Yawa. We would also like to know the role and the situation of the LGBTQIA+ in pre-colonial times.
Kung pre-colonial times, na-discuss na natin. Pag colonial time, balikan natin na tinanggalan ng power yung ating mga babaylan. And some of them are trans women. So, Spanish colonial times being patriarchal and macho, mas mababa pa ang tingin sa kababaihan. Dahil lalaki ka na naging babae, mas mababa pa kaysa sa kababaihan. So they are shamed and of course into the closet. Kahit wala pang sinasabing in the closet at that time. So nawala ng power yung mga male trans women born that time, babaylan that time, to perform these rituals. So, demonization of the babaylans equal demonization of the LGBTQs. Pagpababa ng status ng LGBT sa ating sosyedad at sa ating communities. So yun yung naging backlash no ng colonization sa ating kultura. And it reflects until now. Even if the Philippines say it's one of the most tolerant countries for the LGBTs, there's still no acceptance. So wala pa rin acceptance sa ating community. Also, next slide, please. Even after the Spanish colonization, the portrayal of the LGBT in Philippine cinema has been derogatory. Gays are portrayed as feminized. If you're not feminine, you're not gay. And if you're a lesbian, you're described as masculine. So if you're not a masculine expressing lesbian, you're not a lesbian. You're probably just experimenting. Pero dahil na rin sa pag-aaral ng sexual orientation, gender identity, and expression, na-realize natin na may iba't ibang klaseng soji. May lesbian, may gays, may bisexual, may trans, na may iba't ding gender expression. So our gays can be masculine. Our trans women can also be masculine. Our lesbians can be feminine. And there's also the non-binary. Our gays and lesbians, our trans women can also be androgynous. So hindi lang siya nakakahon sa kung ano yung portray ng cinema. So ayun siguro yung sitwasyon natin mga LGBT sa panahon ng colonial Spaniards hanggang sa colonization at ang reflection ng ating mundo.
Daghang salamat. Thank you very much, Irish. So we are so happy that our good audio is back. And so we have I guess 2 or 1 more question for you later. So we would know. Thank you, Irish, for discussing how the role of the LGBTQIA+ changed during the colonial period. So actually, there was also this article by J. Neil Garcia saying that the gays in Spanish, I mean the pre-colonial times, were actually like treated like women. They could marry like women, and except that they could not have children, and they dressed as women, and they could marry like women. So it changed during the Spanish colonial period and even until today. So we would ask you later some more questions about how the LGBTQIA+ have resisted or have fought for a liberation or for equal opportunities in society. So thank you very much, Iris. So now we go back here to come back here to Cebu. So we would like to ask Dr. Lenny, our gender scholar, how did the role of women and the influence of women change during the Spanish colonial rule? So is our microphone ready for Dr. Lenny?
Hello, mic test?
Yes.
Hello, okay. Sige, so from equal partners during the pre-Spanish time, pre-colonial times, no, women became or portrayed, as virginal mothers, as meek, as subservient to the men around them. And interestingly, while Dr. George and Irish talked about Yawa, it reminded me of the world history in the period of 1400s, 1500s, where there was this witch hunting. This was a period of consolidation of the Catholic Church, and therefore whoever who would be deviating or defy the norms of the Catholic Church would be considered heretic, witch, no? So I don't know if we're familiar with the history of witch hunting, where we have the Saint Joan of Arc, no, as one of a very good example. Nga wala gyud tayo sa, but nagpakita og independence, intelligence, and because of that, no, label siya as witch, no, and we know what happened after, and you can just imagine how many more women, no, who were strong, smart, intelligent, and independent, who were labeled as witch sa 𝗕𝗶𝘀𝗆, or perhaps really the use of Yawa, no, and that's when the word demonization can be very apt, no, to describe the way the Spaniards labeled, no, our women.
Salamat, Dr. Lenny. So we would also like to share that in our discussion last February 14, Valentine's Day. So we have Dr. Lephi still here. So Dr. Lephi was here, and Dr. Lephi is a Catholic theologian. And we discussed how, in that forum, we discussed like how the Baxter Codex described the sex gadgets that women wanted. So there were more than 30 designs of these sex gadgets, and the women were so powerful at that time that they would actually be the ones to decide if she would have sex with a man. And one of our historians also said, Dr. 𝗕𝗵𝘀𝗶𝗆 of the Vice President for Academic Affairs of Silliman University, he said that the woman would first ask the man, "Show me your ring." If she doesn't like the design of the ring, no sex. So, show me your ring. Is it 299 pesos? So it's not so the rings, the penis rings, and the penis pins were made of gold, brass, or other materials. So they were very precious rings because the woman wouldn't have, according to Pigafetta, he termed it as communication. She wouldn't have communication with men if the man doesn't have the ring. And the woman can actually court and ask the man she desires. She could express her desire for a man. She would just give him a buyo, a leaf. And the Spaniards, the colonizers, were so scandalized. They said those leaves are evil, because she would express her evil desires to the man. It's very unthinkable for Europeans to have women expressing their desire to have sex with a man. It's not done in Europe. Only Asians, Southeast Asians, and Visayans, or in this archipelago, would do it. And they would even, they would do it even without marriage. So at that time, marriage is a different thing compared to sex. And then, of course, virginity was not a virtue. As early as 6, the vagina, the sexual organ of the woman is opened as early as 6. And Dr. Rolando Brunaga mentioned that the Babaylanes already had sex education for the women to prepare them for marriage and to prepare them for sex. They were taught how to use the penis ring and the penis pin. So as early as 6. So, and of course, another historian, Dr. Dani Hirona, he wrote also this book on Magellan. In one of our discussions, he mentioned about an archival document, a report of the Augustinians about a witch on Cebu in 1595, bewitching Spaniards, a whole family of Spaniards. And he mentioned that at that time, in pre-colonial times, they believed that if the sexual organ of the woman would not have a penis in it, if the woman doesn't have sex, bad spirits would go inside. So it's a different thing. So now, when we ask Dr. Levi Lalaria, because we asked about what were the teachings of in 16th century, what were the teachings of the religious teachings at that time? So of course, Saint Augustine was saying that you should not be pleasured. Then I asked wala si Dr. Levy dire.
I think nilakaw na.
So I asked Dr. Levy, so Dr. Levy, does that mean that anything pleasurable is sinful at that time? And he said yes. And then of course we have the study, why the Southeast Asians, there is a study that said that why do the Southeast Asians have sex gadgets? It's because it's all for the pleasure of the woman. They use it, the men use it for the woman because of the sovereignty of the woman in this region, of the woman and the gays maybe, and then so the trans woman, and then so the women considered it as a compliment, and they would brag about the men who were good lovers. The women compared them to the warship of the Visayans, the Karakoa with a dragon head. So they would brag about the men who were good lovers, and they considered it as a compliment that the men would use those gadgets, which were labeled by the colonizers as evil and demonic. So which means now we would say that the pleasure of the woman is demonic. It is evil if the woman is pleasured. So also wala, sakto lang conclusion. Is that a correct conclusion? What do you say? So Dr.
Well,
Lenny, can we show Dr. Lenny?
It shows a lot sa katong
We have Dr. Lenny, yes.
it shows a lot sa position sa Catholic Church when the reproductive health bill was very controversial. And at that time, they would say that sex should just be done for procreation. It should not be about pleasure, you know? And so you can really still see a lot of influence, no, from the archaic teachings of the Church up to the present.
So dahil salamat, Dr. Lenny. So you should watch our event, 𝗬𝗏𝗃 So IOT was how Father Mateo Sanchez in the 1711 dictionary spelled iyot. It's the old word for sex. So IOT, it's 𝗬𝗏𝗃 February 14 this year. Watch that video. I mean that event. So now we go back to Irish was already able to discuss the changes of the treatment of the LGBTQIA+ during the colonial period. Would you like to say more about this, Irish?
Okay. May comment na ako sa sinabi ni Lenny, no, about Saint John of Arc. She was demonized by the Spaniards, by the English because of her bravery. Actually, Saint John of Arc has a church here in France. It's in Paris. And she was considered a saint because she is a symbol of bravery in France. Okay. So nagpapakita talaga kung paano in-interpret ng reliyon ang mga nangyayari, ang kababaihan, ang gender, kung ano yung makaka-benefit sa kanila. Even if we say the religion says that you can have sex when you're married, but there are a lot of instances when priests and popes have sex within their religion. So, base din sa kanilang benefit, not for the benefit of the people. As I was saying, we're going to how the LGBT resist, no? So kasama din ng LGBT natin sa pagkikibaka para sa kalayaan ng Pilipinas, kahit hindi sila na recognize as LGBT while they were fighting for the revolution. And in the 1990s, lesbian women read the first lesbian elective statement during the March movement ng 𝗕𝗶𝗀. That was the celebration, the National Women's Day. And then 1994, we had the pro-gay LGBT Pride March in Quezon City. that was led by progressive gay organization. And now we have many pride marches in the Philippines. And just recently, I think we had one of the biggest pride marches in that was, I think, last year. And that's the biggest in Asia, as they said. And at padayon man ang struggle natin na mabuo o mapasa yung anti-discrimination law, which has been written in the Senate and Congress for the past or more than 20 years na. So, ngayon, dinideny pa ng Philippine government ang rights o karapatan ng mga LGBT laban sa diskriminasyon, ang karapatan ng LGBT sa pagkakapantay-pantay. At kami sa bahagalitan, tumutulong kami sa mga migrants natin, migrants natin, LGBT natin dito, maka-adjust sa buhay sa France, na malabanan ang diskriminasyon dito, kasi kahit na queer-friendly na ang France, it's actually number 8 or number 7 of the most queer-friendly countries in Europe. Padayon pa rin ang diskriminasyon. Kami nanindigan pa din sa pasanong anti-discrimination law sa Pilipinas. At sana maging pantay-pantay na ang tingin sa lahat, no? Bakla ka man, or straight ka man. Madami salamat.
So, dahil salamat, Iris. So, Iris actually already answered all the questions for her, except the questions from the audience. So, now we go back to the Visayas, and we would ask our Visayas historian, Dr. George. So, during the colonial period, so there is a new religion introduced. So now we would now like to ask Dr. George to describe how the ancient Visayans attributed epidemics and disasters to the Diwata anger.
Okay, so in terms of the early Spanish period, there was a time when some of the earliest disasters, the epidemics, especially the circa 1596 smallpox epidemic that afflicted places like Leyte, Samar, Bohol. It was believed to have been caused by the greatest diwatas of these areas. So as mentioned earlier, one was Laon, the mother of Makapatag. So Laon was believed to be based in Mount Canlaon, but Makapatag was believed to be based in Homonhon, that place where the strongest typhoons like Yolanda and the 1897 typhoon passed through. So it was in Chirino and Alcina's account which narrates this belief. In the late 1590s, when this epidemic occurred, so it was believed that Inilaon gave her son Kapatag the desire to poison or infect the atmosphere with that disease. So presumably as punishment for their conversion to Catholicism or Christianity, which is supported or corroborated by another event, this time 5 years later, after a typhoon, a furious typhoon of October or November, which destroyed various towns. So they were talking about the Jesuit missions in Samar, Leyte, and Bohol, and caused a general famine because of this destruction of food crops. So it is said that in the aftermath of that disaster, a woman priestess, so referred to as a una mujer sacerdotista, who also was referred to by Colin as a mala mujer or bad woman, preached to the people that the Diwata, that is her idol, was very angry with the lies that the Jesuit fathers taught, and that is why that great storm had come. And if they did not renounce their new religion, more storms and disasters will come, because that religion, according to this Babaylan, was just an invention of the Spanish king to secure his kingdom. So to me, this incident, the 1596 typhoon, and the aftermath of the hurricane. Kay this shows us the power of women even after the start of colonization. So there was still this belief that their greatest diwata, the most powerful, Silaon, had caused this disease through her son, or that the Babaylan could interpret these events as punishment for conversion by the diwata. Pero we will see later that in terms of the Virgin Mary, to go back to what was mentioned earlier, virginity was not a virtue. Kaya what the Spanish did is in the early prayers, although Virgen Maria is used as a word to refer to the Virgin Mary, it's often the motherhood of Mary that is highlighted in these prayers. So suggesting that mothers were considered as very influential, and that in later social movements, this Virgin Mary figure conceptualized as a mother would recur in the leadership of these movements, like in the 1700s, the Padre Gaspar Revolt. So he would take on the role as a local pope, pero he would appoint women and male priests in his local church, so a heretical church based in Biliran. And in the Dios Pulahan movement, there would also be these types of Virgin Mary leaders who had these other male leaders who referred to themselves as Jesus Christ. So she would be the Mary figure commanding or giving orders to the Jesus Christ Son. So that's a pattern in the social movements of the period that suggests a continuity with pre-colonial beliefs, especially this belief that their greatest diwatas were a mother-son tandem, just like how later it would be the Virgin Mary and the Santo Niño that would displace these two diwatas as the greatest Christian figures in our belief or our local religion.
Daghang salamat, Dr. George. So you have so many questions now. So actually, there is a comment from 𝗕𝗶𝘀𝗆, and his reflection is that he is learning the evolution of words. So he is thinking of the word 𝗬𝗑𝑢𝑠𝗓. It is a condition of unusual frequent urination. In the Bilaan or Tibuli lexicon, there is a malevolent spirit or ghoul called busaw. So busaw, could it be that 𝗬𝗑𝑢𝑠𝗓 is derived from that, originally meant cursed, possessed, bewitched, or enchanted? 𝗬𝗬𝑢𝑠𝗓 niya, busaw is
It could be because there are actually a lot of parallels between Visayan beliefs and the Lumad Mindanao belief system. So for instance, among the Mamanwa in Surigao, there is this spirit called Humonhon that possesses a shaman, and that shaman is said to become murderous or homicidal siya. So that's similar to what happens to the Busaw spirits. So warriors among the Lumads, like the I think Agusan Manobo, they would be possessed by these spirits who were believed to be cannibalistic. So it's the same pattern. Maybe that's where 𝗬𝗎𝑢𝑠𝗓 comes from. You lose control of your body because you are possessed by these spirits, like the Humonhon spirit possessing the shaman of the Mamanwas in northeastern Mindanao.
So, dahil salamat, Dr. George. So, I think we need to ask, before we go to Dr. Lenny, I guess we have to call Irish. This is a question. There is a question from Mary Bethany from CTU, and she would like to ask, naagyo di ay LGBTQIA sa pre-colonial times? I didn't know. So, Iris, I forgot to ask you to explain to us the acronym LGBTQIA+. So maybe so many of us, of our audience, don't know yet what does the acronym mean, like each letter, and then did they exist in pre-colonial times? So this is the question from Mary Bethany.
Okay. LGBT means lesbian. Lesbian or female or born female. They identify as women. So, ang tingin nila sa sarili ay babae pa rin. And they are attracted to women. Tulad ko, I'm a lesbian. And then there's also the gays, born male, identifies as men, attracted to men. And there's bisexual, either male or female, identify as man or woman. They are attracted to both men and women, but not necessarily at the same time. Okay. So and trans women and trans men. So they are born female, meaning they have vagina. Also, they are named as female on the birth certificate, but they identify as men. Lalaki. Yung tingin sa sarili. That's why we use the word trans. To transform, to transfer. So trans man, female, a born female identify as man, trans man. And then there's born male, but identify as men. So trans women. So trans men are men, trans women are women. And then there's intersex. They're born with both male and female, either genital hormones, chromosomes, and later on develop with a more dominant sexuality. So intersex. They used to be called hermaphrodites, but we don't that anymore. A can be allies or asexuals. We have asexuals, those who are born male, identify as men or women, attracted to others, but have no sexual attraction. So bakit tinatawag sila dating frigid, but wala talaga silang sexual attraction. They can be in a relationship, but they don't have to be satisfied, or they don't have sexual urges. They can also be used, ang letter A is allies. Tulad ni Ma'am. She's a very big ally of the LGBTQIA community. So yes, she existed during the pre-colonial times. Hindi lang siya na-document tulad ngayon. We don't have the words LGBTQIA before. Kasi hindi naman matter sa kanila yung kung lalaki ka o babae ka, o bakla ka o lesbian ka. You are part of the community, and yung power is within the community. It's not with gender, it's not with your sex. So it's only because of Spanish colonization that discrimination and homophobia entered into our culture. So yes meron po LGBT now. Hindi po kami bagong experiment o bagong gawang humanoid. Hindi po kami humanoid. We existed way before the Spanish colonization.
So, daghang salamat, Iris. So, it's actually recorded. Dr. George Borinaga in the past mentioned when we discussed about the religious leaders and their influence in the revolts. So, they were called as hermaphrodites. So, that's now it's intersex. At that time, the hermaphrodites were considered as the most powerful spiritual leaders. They were the most powerful healers and the most powerful leaders, according to Dr. George. Summarize sila lang ako, Dr. George 𝗵𝗀. So it's also in William Henry Scott and other books that they were considered as the most powerful because they have the sexual organs of both sexes. So they were not considered as aliens or abnormal or anything. They were even considered as the most powerful. So, of course, they became demonized with colonization. So, and in our discussion also in the previous event, we would, even Dr. 𝗵𝗲𝗶𝗆, the father of Dr. George, said, so the asog was the term used for the gay healer or the spiritual leader. And then our language, the Visayan language, our language is gender neutral. You wouldn't ask what's your pronoun. Siya. So it doesn't matter what the gender is. He or she does not exist. He or she does not exist in our language. We always refer to someone as siya.
Oh, yung feminine masculine. Hindi siya nag-exist pronoun sa atin.
Yes. So we were a gender neutral, gender fair. We have a gender neutral, gender fair language and culture in ancient times. So so dagan
Kasi word na babaylan o manubulok. Wala siyang babaeng babaylan o lalaking babaylan. Or like woman doctor or men doctor. Lang ganun.
Okay, dahil salamat, Iris. We lost you already. So now we have the last three questions for Dr. Lenny. Last two questions for Dr. Lenny. So we have a question for Dr. Lenny regarding how did the situation of women, what was the situation of women during the American and the Japanese colonial periods?
It's still colonialism, so...
May we have Dr. Lenny, please?
Yes, so you can already imagine after being destroyed for such a long time, for 333 years under Spanish colonialism, it's not like a walk in the park, no, for a lot of women. And while the Americans provided some liberal atmosphere, women were now allowed to go to school, women were allowed to participate in political affairs, but they also brought with them this view of women as sources of pleasure, and therefore pornography as well as prostitution really proliferated during the time of the American period, especially because there were so many American forces in the country at that time. Now, the brief occupation of Japan exacerbated the difficulties of the women, especially. If you've heard about the comfort women, how a lot of our women were enslaved, placed in Japanese brothel, and then puli-pulihan of sex sa mga Japanese Imperial Army. And then it turned out that it was actually a policy of Japan. It was not just a random violence against our women. It's not just a random abuse against our women, but it was a way for the Japanese to make sure that their men continue to be sane in the midst of war, at the expense of our women.
Yes, so that's very sad. So, so that's the situation. Those Dr. Lenny discussed how women were oppressed during the colonial period. So there are questions from our audience. We would read them later. So one of the questions are really for the word Yawa. So maybe Dr. George can answer this later when it's his turn to talk also, to answer our questions. So why does the Yawa become known as a bad word, and is there any exact person or year that it was already the meaning for it is already demonic? This is Clemens from CTU asking what year was it that Yawa is already it already means about something demonic. So May Montibon is also asking she is from CTU Maine, how has the use of the word Yawa evolved over time in the Philippines? So Dr. George actually discussed this earlier, but maybe he can summarize later again, later. So what are some synonyms of the expressions Yawa in the Filipino language? Is it do you mean Tagalog or also in Visayan? So 𝗕𝗺𝗺𝗃𝗧 also from CTU is asking what is the reason the Filipinos use the word Yawa when they know it refers to a goddess? 𝗕𝗺𝗺𝗃𝗧, actually we didn't know that it referred to a goddess. We only knew when we studied our heritage and our history that we know that Yawa was originally a goddess. So we still use it to mean the devil because that is how we were told when we were taught in catechism and even by our parents. So 𝗧𝗵𝗃 𝗂𝗵𝗍𝗃 is from watching from UC Political Science and also John Mark. So now we go back. So we go to we ask Irish. Have Iris already discussed how the members of the LGBTQIA already demonized today? I think she has already answered this question. So now we go back to Dr. George to ask him regarding the religious leadership in the Hispanized colonial society and the anti-colonial resistance movement. So what happened to the religious leadership during Spanish period and in the resistance movement against colonization? So maybe Dr. George, you may also answer briefly those questions about Yawa.
So as I stated earlier that Yawa was used as a sort of catchphrase to dispel, demonize, and replace, or at least they tried to replace the ancient religion, but they were not completely successful in doing so. So in fact, the missionaries, the colonizers, even leveraged or they used the continuing influence of women or the continuing influence of the LGBTQIA community in introducing colonization and Hispanization, Christianization to the Visayans and the Filipinos. So for instance, we can see in the conversion process how the Babaylans also played an important role in the conversion, the catechism of the early Christianized Visayans. So it would be Father Alcina himself, although there are also hints of this in other sources like Chirino, that these women who were, for instance, known as katuoran in pre-colonial times, the highest paid among the diwatas, they were very important in the teaching of the doctrina to their fellow Visayans. So they started to become known as maestras, as we call them here, meaning the Visayas, and were very helpful in facilitating the conversion of many men and women. So those who before were the go-betweens of deception and the deceiver now serve them greatly, the Visayas, by rescuing them from error. So he is suggesting those Babaylans who converted, they were quite influential also in teaching the new religion to their followers. On the other hand, the Jesuits, who, as we know, they were starting their evangelization in Samar, Leyte, and Bohol and parts of Cebu when the smallpox epidemic of 1596 started. So it was this time they were able to learn some of the medicinal herbs, and they were apparently able to find a cure. Okay, there was this pattern in Samar, Leyte, and Bohol. Those who they gave baptism to, holy water, that included those medicinal cures they found for smallpox with the help of local tambalan. They did not die. So there was this cooperation between local medicine people or local herbalists and the Jesuits, and that is how they were able to convert a lot of people by themselves becoming local healers or tambalan. So to me, this suggests that the missionaries also relied on local gender relations, ang power of women to convert the Visayans, and they also took on local roles like becoming medicine men themselves in order to convert and cure the Visayans during that smallpox epidemic. But on the other hand, when it comes to resistance, we also see that the early resistance movements also borrowed elements from the colonial system. So I mentioned earlier how later on, a lot of the leaders in the anti-colonial movements, they would have these women leaders who would call themselves the Virgin Mary, and the male leader would refer to himself as Jesus. Pero there were other leaders in these movements, especially the early ones, who had been sacristans or former house servants in the Jesuits. So this was in the 𝗕𝗵𝗆 revolt in Bohol and Leyte. So there was that pattern. The Babaylans, those who continued to resist colonization and Christian conversion, they were joined this time by apparently heterosexual mga male leaders who were under the Jesuits or studied under the Jesuits before. So Alcina would say these male leaders were beneficiaries of much knowledge from the latter. And one of those revolts, the 𝗕𝗵𝗆 revolt, would also exhibit a mixture of leaders, starting with the leader 𝗕𝗵𝗆. I think we discussed this before there's actually no reference to the gender ni 𝗕𝗵𝗆. So usually the other leaders, they would say she's an old woman or she's a bad woman, but 𝗕𝗵𝗆, you don't find any reference to the gender, which to me would suggest the possibility 𝗕𝗵𝗆 might have been an asog or a transvestite leader in the early colonial period. But 𝗕𝗵𝗆 was joined by other leaders that exhibits this mixture of leadership. So there was, for instance, a Balyana, a Babaylan priestess who offered the apostates, those who wanted to go back to the old religion, abundant rice and springs of water in the mountains so as to put an end to the hunger of a bad year. So this line from Alcina suggests that there was a drought at the time and a crisis that precipitated the 𝗕𝗵𝗆 revolt in Bohol. But another leader, a Daitan, again another type of Babaylan, usually a woman, promised the apostates that if they went along with her, or there's a gender her, to make a pag-anito to the devil, she would blind all the Spaniards and those who accompanied them. And this is the other example that Alcina gives, which would suggest there were already male heterosexual leaders in these movements, because a self-proclaimed diwata, or in other sources like Chirino, this is referred to as a diwatahan. So the male mga ritualists of the ancient deities who would make the bullets of the Spaniards, muskets, and arquebuses wound and kill those who fired them. So a bit similar to how anting-antings would later repel bullets from the enemies. So in this case, there is a new gendered leader that would join the effeminate male and the women priestesses in resisting the Spaniards and the missionaries. So
dahil salamat, Dr. George. So now, the Babaylanes, the religious leaders, also became leaders. Some already were converted to Catholicism and assisted the priests in converting the natives, but some also became leaders of the revolts, in the anti-colonial revolts in our history. For example, 𝗵𝗏𝗆 or 𝗵𝗃𝗆, even if 𝗵𝗃𝗆 was not really an asog or of a baylan, but he had also the assistance of the religious leaders. And 𝗵𝗏𝗆 was really a religious leader. According to Dr. George, we don't know the exact gender. So he is usually, I mean, she is usually referred to as a man, but she was also called as a babaylan, and babaylanes were only women. So the men healers, or the feminized men healers, were asog. So there were Dr. George is thinking that 𝗵𝗏𝗆 o Bohol could be an asog. So, or could be a woman.
Just to add, ma'am, si
Dr. George.
𝗵𝗃𝗆, he saw that the religion of the
Please
missionaries could be used against them. So he asked two of his sons to study at the Jesuit school in Dulag, Leyte, and one of the sons, si Bagali, would become the high priest of the nativistic religion he established to return to the old deities, pero using the Jesuits as a sort of model for the new church nga iyang gi-establish in Leyte.
So this is now in the 1600s. So religious leaders, there are already men, native religious leaders who are men. This is now in the 1622, 1621. So 𝗵𝗏𝗆, and it's actually like same years. So 𝗵𝗏𝗆 and 𝗵𝗃𝗆 rebellion, there were already male healers at this period. So dahil salamat, Dr. George. Now we go to the fight against for the rights. So it is a commemoration of the Women's Month. So there is actually a question in one of the comments of this Facebook event. And why is it that you are including LGBTQ in the Women's Month celebration? And then, so we would like to ask Irish now, would she add more, or could she add a little more regarding this, how she already mentioned about the LGBTQIA+ fight for the rights. So would you like to add more, and why? And of course, our answer to that question was that please join our event, because you would know the role of the women and the LGBTQ in pre-colonial period. So that was our answer. So would you like to add more about this? And by the way, Irish, I remember I would like to ask you this. How would you describe, because you mentioned already the meaning of LGBTQIA+, LGBTQIA. I had a friend, like more than a decade ago, who told me, so I wasn't able, it was not usual at that time to ask what's your pronoun, but he told me, or I don't know if he's a he or a she, and he told me that he would fall in love. So I would look at him as gay. But then he also had a girlfriend, and he told me, I would fall in love with someone regardless of his or her gender. I could fall in love with anyone regardless of gender. So which category would that fall? So for him or her, it doesn't matter. The gender wouldn't matter as long as he or she would feel something, he would emotionally feel something, or he would get attracted to that someone. So where would that fall in the LGBTQIA?
Okay. Sagutin ko muna yung tanong na bakit sinasali yung LGBT sa Women's Month. Discussion natin. And why LGBT also celebrate Women's Month. So dahil ba lesbian ako, hindi na ako pwedeng mag-celebrate ng Women's Month? Hindi na po ba tayo kababaihan? Yung trans women natin, hindi din po ba sila babae? So LGBT is also included in the Women's Month celebration, as should men also join the Women's Month celebration. because we know that women are marginalized, just like LGBT are marginalized. We both suffer gender-based violence and discrimination. Kung gaano kababa yung tingin sa kababaihan ng patriarchal na sosyedad, ganun din kababa ang pagtingin sa LGBT. Now, answering the question of the orientation or the gender of your friend, we call them pansexuals. So maybe they can label themselves as pansexuals. Pansexuals are either born male or female. They identify as man, woman, queer, binary, non-binary, and they fall in love with a person, regardless of the gender or how they identify with. My wife is a pansexual. Ako, last na talaga ako na-attack sa kalalakihan. Hindi din ako na-attack sa opposite sex. So, it's bisexuals are attracted to men, women, but pansexuals, regardless of the gender. They can be gays, they can be lesbians, they can be fellow pansexuals, they can be queer, androgynous, etc. Wala silang filter for that. So what they value is their heart. Di ba mas maganda yun? Na wala naman sa ari o katalian yung pagmamahal sa isang tao.
So, daghang salamat, Irish. And that would be the last question for you. So, because our time is running out. So, daghang salamat. So, that would be your last statement. So, happy birthday once again. Remove naman si Irish. So, happy birthday once again. And
Thank you.
Carry on with the fight for the rights of the LGBTQIA+, even in France.
Thank you so much.
And happy birthday.
Thank you.
So now we have the question for the last question of this forum. So this is now, so actually there would be, we would have a cosplay contest and our judges are still here. So we hope that we would finish in a few minutes. So this is the last question for Dr. Lenny regarding how did the women fight and resist their marginalization and disempowerment throughout the Philippine history.
Yes, Miss A, you mentioned earlier about observing Women's Month. No? It is, I think, important to point out that Women's Month also originated from International Working Women's Day, or March 8th. And it did not just come from nothing. No? It's called International Working Women's Day because it's the first day when women throughout the world protested against all forms of discrimination and oppression. No? And therefore, I think that would really describe how women have fought and resisted their marginalization and disempowerment throughout Philippine history, from being babaylans, labeled as witches, labeled as devil, no, to commodification during the American period, to being comfort women during the Japanese time, and up to now, the discrimination, marginalization, and oppression of women are still there. No? Pero we don't like to end this discussion with such very kanang negative nga conclusion, no? Because we know that all throughout our history, women have resisted, women have fought hand in hand with the men, no, in the struggle for liberation, for freedom, for equality. No? And I know we have many women here, no, who continue to fight, no, for even at this time, no, when we just perhaps wala na tong mga demonization, wala na tong mga witch hunting. And yet we still now have red tagging. So if you're a woman and you're organizing your community, you are fighting against unjust issues, then you are red tagged. No? So it's like the present day witch hunting in a way. And so what we would like to, I think, say at the end of this forum is that we all have to celebrate women, because all throughout our history they have proven to be brave and courageous in fighting, in resisting all forms of domination, discrimination, and oppression.
Daghang salamat, Dr. Lenny. Please, our next is our reactor. So please prepare the microphone. Daghang salamat and the camera for our reactor. Daghang salamat to Dr. Lenny for stressing that the women have fought alongside with men in the struggle against the the colonization. So we would know from these books here, the Anti-Spanish Revolution in Cebu by Junicio C. We also have this from the 𝗕𝗐𝗀𝗃𝗏 by 𝗕𝗵𝗆 would find the names of those who fought, who joined the revolution against Spain in Cebu. And of course, you would find out here in this book by Dr. Michael Colonial, the leaders of the revolution against Spain in Cebu. Unfortunately, in this book, Dr. Mike Colonial there are bio sketches, so you would see that our rooms for heroes, our rooms at Palmgrass have wallpaper containing the names of to whom that floor is named in honor of. Then so you would also see the bio sketch of those heroes. So you would see here about more than 200 names of the heroes in this book by Dr. Mike Colonial. And I was asking Dr. Mike, why is it that there are only 3 women of the 200, more than nearly 300 leaders of the revolution against Spain? Why is it that there are only 3 women in the list? So actually, we have this mga bayani sa revolution sa Sugbo at that wall, a glass wall, at your back there sa Wall of Heroes. We actually added more names because there are more names of women here in this book by 𝗕𝗐𝗃𝗏. Actually, Dr. Mike just included those who were published 3 times in publications. So he only included in the list of the leaders those mentioned 3 times in publication. So in that Wall of Heroes, there are more names there. We added those who saw the flag. We added those who distributed the anting-anting. Dr. Mike only put 3 names. Paulina Padilla, in whose house there were meetings, and 𝗕𝗐𝗃𝗏 also slept there, and Paulina Padilla was a soltera, 50 years old. There was Constancia Alaura, and we made her into the love interest of 𝗕𝗐𝗃𝗏 in our play of 𝗕𝗵𝗃 because Constancia was a visual artist. They distributed anting-anting, they made the flyers, the leaflets being distributed, and of course 𝗕𝗐𝗃𝗏 also stayed in her house because their family were revolutionaries. Her father, Casimiro Alaura, and brother Simplicio Alaura were all Katipuneros. And also, the last but not the least in the lucky women names in the book by Michael Colonial is Juliana Revillas, and mentioned as an active planner of the revolution, the wife of Candido Padilla. And we have a song in honor of her, Gugmang Gihandom. Look for it in the YouTube channel of Palmgrass sa Cebu Heritage Hotel. So it's in honor of Juliana Revillas. But we added more names there in our Wall of Heroes. So, of course, it's here in the books. So, karon, I guess we will no longer have the closing words from our panelists. Our 2 panelists would be giving questions to our cosplayers. So we will have now the reaction from an LGBTQ organization, Curls Incorporated. Please help me welcome Von Relay. Yes. So we have Von Relay. Na-wash out siya. Ayaw ang suga is... Pwede na, diri siya? Yes, so
Hello. Hello, everyone. Hello, online viewers, and hello, face-to-face viewers. My name is 𝗵𝗲𝗆𝗀𝗆. I'm a local project officer in 𝗪𝗀, meaning Cebu United Rainbow LGBT sector. So I'm an advocate for LGBT rights. I love the discussion. It's discussing more about our identity before we were colonized by Spanish. So yeah, first, what I've got is pre-colonial times, transgender identities are validated. The Philippines is one of the countries wherein we have a lot of transgender women. Also with our language, siya, iya, it's a language that is non-gendered. So pre-colonial times, we didn't really care about putting labels within our identities. It was just us expressing who we are. Also the word Yawa. Pre-colonial times, it was used as a powerful word, but because when we were colonized, they see it as different from what they were used to in their country or their culture. So it validates a lot of things that we were used to back then, and now we've realized a lot of things. And thank you so much, Doc, for giving us the knowledge more about pre-colonial times and the history of everything, especially here in Visayas, a very colorful Visayas that we have. And I like the question a while ago, like, why are we including the LGBT community in celebrating the Women's Month? Yeah, because we have transgender women, they're women. We have lesbian women, and they're women. We have different characteristics of women that should be included in the discussion of women's liberation and empowering women. So that's all. Thank you.
So daghang salamat for your reaction, Von. So now we are preparing for the cosplay contest, and while we are preparing for that, we would like to ask the question, this is now the open forum, we would like to ask our on-site audience to raise your hand if you have a question. Please note that after the cosplay contest, we also have a trivia quiz with exciting prizes. Only 2 questions, one for the on-site audience and another one for everyone, but everyone would answer through the comment section of the Facebook Live event. So now we have, we would like to read some questions. While please raise your hand, those who want to ask from the on-site audience. Kinsay isog dinha, isog sama sa kababayenan o mga LGBTQ fighting for their rights. So, from Romaline Mosqueda of CTU campus, are Nagmalitong Yawa and Maria Makiling somehow connected in Visayan folklore and mythology? So Dr. George, please show Dr. George for this, if he would like to answer, what's his answer for this question?
In terms of Maria Makiling, so she is a figure in the Tagalog region. So the Mount Makiling equivalent in the Visayas is kato Mount Canlaon, where Laon, the greatest and most powerful diwata of the Visayans, resided. So according to Chirino, Laon is equivalent to Bathala among the Tagalogs. So we can see she was quite prominent. So if we link it to Nagmalitong Yawa, so as I mentioned, there are arguments in some papers nga Nagmalitong Yawa might have been a colonial period label na based on that demonization process. So it's possible nga it might have referred to other deities in pre-colonial times, including Laon, which is equivalent to Bathala in among the Tagalogs, and was considered as the greatest and most powerful diwata of the Visayans.
So, daghang salamat, Dr. George. So, obviously, because it is now Maria, it is a Spanish period diwata. So, Maria Makiling, like Maria Cacao in Cebu. So, they are the same. They would let the people borrow their utensils, and also they get angry when they don't, the utensils or the items being borrowed are not returned. So Maria is now, it refers to Mary, Virgin Mary, or Mother Mary. So it is a Spanish period. Those are Spanish period diwata. And Maria Cacao, with cacao, is also a Spanish period agricultural products. So it's really Spanish
Although
period.
perhaps with pre-colonial equivalent nga na to whom the Maria name was later applied, just as nagmalitong Yawa might have been applied to another deity with another name before.
So it could be Maria like Laon, like Lalahon, the mother of
Makapatag.
Makapatag. Makapatag is the supreme deity of the Visayans. So so now we have this question from the on-site. So pwede na isa ka, munaog ka? Ayaw na lang question, oy. Layo kay ka. So kinsa ba kay ang atong nagmalitong Yawa grand winner. So we have 2 questions from the audience. So please come and introduce yourself, and please tell us to whom do you want to address your question. Please go to the microphone. Introduce yourself, from which school or organization are you affiliated? Do we show also, is this, to whom do you ask your question? To Dr. George. So, sige, please introduce yourself.
Okay, once again,
Microphone, please.
hello. Hello once again, good evening. I am faculty from USPF and
Name.
I am John Talingting, and my question is there a significant relationship and difference between the word Yawa from Mindanao and to Visayas region?
The Yawa word today.
Yes, from Mindanao and from Visayas.
So we have Dr. George to answer. Daghang salamat
Thank you po.
to the faculty of the University of Southern Philippines,
Pero
USPF.
the Yawa word used by Visayans in Mindanao?
Yes po.
Visayan. So I think a lot of Visayan-speaking people in Mindanao came from the Visayas man. So I think it's the same lang tradition. They use it as a profanity, as a bad word, pero in pre-colonial times na siya linked to the old religion. So the pre-colonial belief system of these people who originated also from the Visayas. But in the Lumad groups, they might have different words still for the Diwatas. So they still refer to them by mga old names. So it's not necessary nga na-demonize ang ilang mga Diwata like before in the Santo Niño and Diwata webinar. There were a lot of deities that were mentioned, and they are found in the epics. So a lot of epics are documented already. So in the Visayas, they began to disappear or were forgotten kay they were generally referred to as Diwata man. So part na nga nakalimtan sila kay gidaot naman sila by the missionaries. While in Mindanao, among the Lumads, kay they passed on the epics, they continued the traditions, and the missionaries had little or just some, they were not able to displace ang belief in these Diwatas. So that their belief system nagpabilin gihapon, they still pass on the names of their old gods or mga spirits.
So, daghang salamat. So one more question. So one last question from the audience. Do we have a question from the audience on site? Wala. Dili nahadlok mo. So we have this last question from the online audience. So Christine K. Campo from CTU. So thank you very much to the very active, very engaged students of CTU, 𝗂𝗃𝗃 CTU. Christine Campo is asking, are there any efforts within the community to reclaim or redefine the concept of Yawa in a positive light? So for those other questions regarding Yawa, please review this Facebook Live event. This is recorded, so you would still view it, so you can still watch the earlier discussion. If you have not started from the, you only tuned in late. So Dr. George, so can you answer this? May you answer this?
I think mantang na mention
question
kanina
is-
ni Irish pod nga even though it's a negative term, kaya it can still be turned around and used for something positive, a positive nga identity. Just like, di ba, words like Moro or Igorot kay for the Cordillerans, for the Mindanaoans, kay they were used in a negative way by the colonizers as meaning, di ba, savages or barbaric for the Igorot, but they were able to turn it around to use it in a positive way to denote a community of people nga with their vibrant nga cultures, traditions. So I think we can do the same with Yawa, starting with learning about the history niya, what the original meanings were, what the belief systems, the culture of the people was like in pre-colonial times, so that can get that process going of dispelling ang negative meaning sa Yawa by reclaiming our history and identity in the past.
So
Yes.
dahil salamat. So
Just-
Dr. Lenny would also like to answer the
Yeah, I just
question.
would like to add that I think what we're doing now is one way of reclaiming what Yawa really means, or perhaps what witch really means, because originally it means the wise one, but because women deviated or did not follow the norms of the religious norms of the Catholic Church then. So muna kuan ang ato ng pagtanaw sa witch is bati, no? A sorcerer, mo kuan og spell, mga inana, no? So I think naa nato ang power to really change it and to bring back its true meaning. Unfortunate lang good nga tungod kay ang Spaniards for a long time were very powerful, were our colonizers, so they were able to manage to change the meanings of our words, but as I said, we have the power to bring it back, no? And discussions like this, education would, I think, play an important role, no, in reclaiming what is rightfully ours, no?
So dahil salamat, Dr. Lenny. So now we are now starting our cosplay contest. So we would like now to call. So do we have our judges? Do we already have the pen and the paper for the judges? So do I have a copy also of the questions? So do they have the pen? So we will also now another judge should be CM. So our judges for our cosplay contest are Dr. Lenny Ocasiones and Dr. George Borinaga and 𝗕𝗵𝗀. CM would also give a special presentation after all the performance of the pwede diha lang si Kuan pag special presentation sa siya our guest cosplayer. So our first contestant, so na tayo music. So now we start. So we have our 2024 Nagmalitong Yawa cosplay contest, and we have our amazing contestants, our cosplayers. Mustorias, ako pwede lower. So we have our first our contestants would show off their costumes, and they would explain their costume, and then the next round would be a question and answer portion. So our judges, lang kumapil og question ha, kamo na lang. Kay murag I don't have the questions. So our judges would be giving the questions. So only the two judges would give the questions, Dr. Lenny and Dr. George. So you may rephrase the questions if you want the prepared questions. So they don't know these questions. So and then they would be judged. So our judges would rank them from 1 to contestants. So they would just judge them according to which for them shows the best costume or character as nagmalitong Yawa or as Yawa. Not necessarily nagmalito, just Yawa or nagmalito or Yawa. So, our first contestant, so asa na tong music? Our first cosplayer is Alanis of Iligan. Music. Asa, wala makiti. Pwede balik sa ka? Kaya wala kang makiti sa camera. Camera, balik. Take two. Pwede gamay ko. Yes.
I represent Nagmalitong Yawa, the darker side of Nagmalitong Yawa, who practice dark magic and cursed. And yes.
Daghang salamat to Nagmalitong Yawa, Alanis of Iligan. Next, we have cosplayer Chari, Yawa of Camotes.
Maayong gabi. Ako si 𝗕𝗵𝗍𝗆, ang diwatang Nagmalitong Yawa. I am wearing red as it represents power and strength that Nagmalitong Yawa holds. This is 𝗕𝗶𝘀, taklaw, tapis, patajong. Daghang salamat.
Daghang salamat to Yawa of Camotes, Chari. So our next cosplayer is Yawa of Candulawan, Stephanie.
Mayong gabi kaninyong tanan, ako di ay si 𝗕𝗵𝗍𝗆 𝗪𝗏, ang diwatang lalahon. Ang gisuot mo karon ay podong, taklay, panika, sarong o tapis.
Daghang salamat to Stephanie, the Yawa of Candulawan. And now we have the next cosplayer, Yawa of 𝗵𝗶𝗶𝗆.
Maayong gabi sa atong tanan. Ako di ay si Bia Bayrante from Masbate City. Diwata na magbalantay ug manggugubat. Ang akong gisuot kay sarok, panika, bulawan, sarong, patajong, and karasikas.
Daghang salamat to Bea, the Yawa of Masbate. And now we have our Yawa from Leyte, Joshua.
gabi. Ako si Joshua Del Socorro from Leyte, representing an asog version of Nagmalitong Yawa. So, my outfit karong gabi is podong, bado, patadyong, and accessories.
So, daghang salamat to Joshua. May we have them all on stage, on the stairs. So, our Nagmalitong Yawa or Yawa cosplayers are Alanis of Iligan, Chari of Camotes, Stephanie of Candulawan, Bea of Masbate, and Joshua of Leyte. Now, we will have the questions from our judges for each one of them. So our judges would give an English and a Bisaya translation of that question. So we don't know if this would be the biggest points for you. So you should make sure you may answer in any language. You may answer in English or in Bisaya or in Cebuano or in Tagalog if you want. So we have this first question. So we have Alanis of Iligan. Alanis actually, she was born in Iligan but grew up in the United States, so she only understands English. So she understands a bit of Bisaya. So may we show Dr. Lenny for her question for Alanis, the Yawa of Iligan.
Sige, Alanis, as Diwata Yawa, what will you do with how some people today destroy nature, such as our mountains, forests, and seas, no?
Well, of course, in fulfillment of my role as a Diwata, I will bring natural disasters because it's a punishment to the people.
Kadungog mo? Sa ang volume,
You
Hello?
will bring natural disasters.
Yes, as a punishment to the people for ruining nature.
Daghang salamat, Alanis, for your answer. So next, we have a question. Dr. George Burinaga will give his question for the Yawa of Camotes, Chari. So we have this question so we will have the English and the Bisaya version of the question from Dr. George.
Chari, as Yawa, the beautiful and brave binukot warrior in folklore, what will you fight for today? So in Bisaya, isip ikaw si Yawa nga usa ka maanyag ug maisog nga warrior or manggugubat para sa unsa man ka makig-away karon.
All right, so as a woman myself and as Yawa, who is a brave warrior, I'd fight for women's equality and rights and equal opportunities, especially that now we celebrate Women's Month. Thank you.
Salamat to the Yawa of Camotes, Shari, and she will fight for the women's rights as Yawa and Diwata. So next we have this question. We have the Yawa of Candulawan, Stephanie, and we will have again Dr. Lenny to give the question for Stephanie.
Hi, Stephanie. As Yawa, the Diwata Lalahon, the goddess of harvest and fire, what will light up your world? Or in Bisaya, isip ikaw si Yawa, ang Diwata nga si Lalahon, Diwata sa maayong ani o gasimbolo sa kalayo, unsa ang makapasiga o makapahayag sa imong kalibutan?
Mayong gabi kaninyong tanan. Ang makapahayag sa kalibutan is a peace. Kalinawon. Kay kung naay kalinawon, naay kahayag. That's all.
Maraming salamat to the Yawa of Candulawan. So, what will light up her world, makapahayag sa iyong kalibutan is peace or kalinaw. So, we have the Diwata, the Yawa of Masbate. We have Bea. So, we have Dr. George to give Bea the question.
By Bea, in the role of Yawa, who is both a guardian and a warrior, what will you do to address climate change that is affecting our communities? Or sa imong papel isip Yawa nga parehong magbalantay ug manggugubat, unsay imong buhaton mahitungod sa problema sa climate change?
Alright, as a diwata, dili ko ginatugutan ang mga tao na maglabay og basura, magputol sa mga kahoy upang mapanatiling maganda at malinis ang ating kalikasan. Yun lang po at maraming salamat.
Dahil salamat to the Yawa of Masbate, and she said that she, as a diwata, to address climate change, she wouldn't allow people to throw their trash anywhere and to cut trees. She wouldn't allow cutting of trees. So now, the last but not the least, diwata of Leyte, the Yawa of Leyte, Joshua. So the question for Joshua is from Dr. Lenny.
Hello, Joshua. As Yawa who cherishes nature, how would you advise the youth to use technology in caring for nature? Isip ikaw si... sorry. That's enough?
Dewasalan.
Okay. Isip ikaw si Yawa nga nag-amuma sa kinaiyahan. Unsaon nimo pagtudlo sa atong mga kabatanunan paggamit sa teknolohiya aron maamumahan ang atong kalikupan?
Technology is already rampant and everywhere. And so I so forth to teach them that there are learnings, there are free educations about how to take care of our environment. So I would use that voice to influence young people to take care of our environment, as well as this is a way of respecting ourselves towards the environment, as also vice versa. Thank you.
Dahil salamat, Joshua. So we now have all our cosplayers. So we have Alanis of Iligan, Chari of Camotes, Stephanie of Candulawan, Bea of Masbate, and Joshua of Leyte. So while we are waiting for the announcement of winners, we have the special presentation by our cosplayer, the grand winner of the Nagmalitong Yawa. She played as the Nara sila diha? Sige. So our cosplayer, so first we will have her assistant, the Diwata of Death, to before the Nagmalitong Yawa of 2021. So we have, the Diwata of Death, 𝗕𝗶𝗃. We have Diwata of Death, 𝗕𝗶𝗃, who would show us her costume. So, may we have 𝗕𝗶𝗃? Magkuyog yun mo? So 𝗕𝗶𝗃 and Nagmalitong Yawa, 𝗕𝗵𝗃. And then we would ask, of course, CM to explain also her costume. So we have 𝗕𝗵𝗃 as Nagmalitong Yawa grand winner in 2021. So.
Maayong gabi kaninyong tanan. I'm 𝗕𝗵𝗃 and your Nagmalitong Yawa Sinagmaling Diwata, your forever advocate for Cebuano culture and an advocate for the beauty of femininity. And I'm wearing white today because we all know that Yawa nowadays is the symbol for demon. But now I'm wearing white to show that Yawa means beautiful, and white, and for me, the color white means beauty. Thank you.
So dahil salamat. So lalo sa CM, kay mag-appeal ka sa karang mga Nagmalitong Yawa. So dahil salamat for that. While we are waiting for you will just stay there. So while we are waiting for the decision of our judges, we would like to give you our trivia quiz. Trivia quiz with exciting prizes. So our first question is for the on-site audience. You will have an amazing prize when you answer this question. So you raise your hand. Di ko kita sa taas. So mag-raise mo sa inyong kamot and you go to the microphone and answer the question. So the prize for this question is a 𝗕𝗵𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 cake. Our cake for the month is color purple with blueberries, and it's 𝗕𝗺𝗃𝗀. You have heard the song 𝗕𝗺𝗃𝗀, so it's an invitation for everyone to be with the women in the fight for equal opportunities and to fight for their rights. So the question is, and then for the on-site audience. So this question is very easy if you listen to the discussion of Dr. George. So name one epidemic or disaster that was believed to be caused by the anger of the diwatas. Pwede ba show ra gyapon nato atong mga diwata on the other camera? Yes. So, sige, please go to the microphone. Name one epidemic. Introduce yourself. So, please take note of if he wins this question. So, what's your name?
I am Martin Joshua 𝗵𝗃𝗆𝗆 from Bay Anthropology, UC San Carlos. Answer the question kay smallpox.
Congratulations! Grabe, naminaw. What's your name?
Martin.
Barkley?
Martin.
Martin. Martin, congratulations. What's your last name?
𝗵𝗃𝗆𝗆.
Mangiob. Martin Mangiob, congratulations. You win a 𝗕𝗺𝗃𝗀 cake. So to get you just send a message. If you want to get it today, so you may get it if you have a cake. But if you want to get it next time, so you just send us a message that you are going to claim your prize. Congratulations for winning the 𝗕𝗺𝗃𝗀. Congratulations for being a good listener, for being attentive to the discussion. Nag-notes ka? Wala ka mag-notes? By memory ra gito. So, our next question is all for everyone, on-site and online, but you will answer through the comment section of this Facebook Live event. Nana mo internet? So, the next question, the prize for this is usara na ka person ha? Instagrammable 𝗕𝗵𝗀𝗆𝗆. It's a therapeutic warm or hot bath. You can either have a 𝗕𝗵𝗀𝗆𝗆 of flour or buwak, or you can have a tinuwa nga 𝗕𝗵𝗆𝗆 with ginger, sea salt, and tanglad, lemongrass, or sea salt. Pwede rin sa sea salt. So if you are able to answer this question, you will win this 𝗕𝗵𝗆𝗆 with an orasyon and a healing prayer by our therapist, our modern-day babaylanes of the 𝗪𝗟𝗏 native massage. So, you will get an orasyon and a 𝗕𝗵𝗆𝗆. So, the question is this. It's very easy. Name one babaylan or asog in the Visayas. Sa kung ano na ha, comment section ang answer. Name bisag-usa lang, name a babaylan or asog in pre-colonial Visayas. Saan sa man, naka-answer na mo? Isa may ni-answer, ani. Ay, bungot king, di na ka pwede mo daog bungot king, kay karang you already won last time, so give chance to others. So, do we have answers from the CTO? Or for those on site who are on Facebook Live? So, Cherry is saying, I am Cherry, I heard ganina, why makaingon mo nga if di makipag-sex interact, masudan og laing spirit ang body. Cherry, this is the belief in pre-colonial times in the Visayas. So, we still don't know why they believed it. So maybe they would get sick if they don't have sex. So we don't know. We are just speculating. There should be a study about this. Why they believe that if the woman is not penetrated by a penis, the woman would have bad spirit, the bad spirit would go inside her if she wouldn't have a penis inside her sexual organ. So that's a pre-colonial belief, not anymore believed today. Or maybe some others are still believe this. Na pa ba? Wala na. Do we have the kuan? So, inyo nang natali ang duha? Itali pa? So, wala na ni answer. No one else answered online regarding the answer who is the asog. Only Bungot King. Wala na mo answer aning a question. Name a babaylan or asog in the Visayas. Wala mo answer ninyo. Hatlok mo answer. So, you answer. Kada kisa man nag-uban. Wala, dili na si Bungot King mo answer because Bungot King already won last time. Dili, give chance to others. So, magbasa sa ako og another question. So while you are thinking of your answer, we would like to invite you to our next events on tonight. There is a dance party at 10 p.m. at Hardin Dagami. On March 31, so may we show our events, Michael? So on March, our upcoming activities. So while we are waiting for the answers, so we have on March 31 is the ang importante buhi. Easter egg hunt. Mangita og itlog. Kisay maayo mangitag itlog dire ang mga bata. So the young at heart and the children who are in-house guests or dine-in guests would have a chance to join in this fun event celebrating the Easter or the new life. So this would be on March 31 at 10 a.m. here at 𝗕𝗄𝗆 Heritage Hotel. On April 3, the 126th year of the Battle of 𝗕𝗄𝗆, we will have a hybrid spoken poetry contest for grades 6 to 10 students. And on April, still on that day, is the celebration of the 𝗕𝗄𝗆 at 126, making our Visayan heroes alive, with our messages from 𝗕𝗶𝗄𝗆 descendants, and also our those who have produced or joined or participated in the play about Leon Quilat, from director of the Ateneo de Cebu's Leon Quilat, Mark Langahid, and also Alexa, the composer of the songs in the play. And we will also have one of the acting coaches of the 𝗵𝗃𝗵𝘃 play, Irish Alinio Fernandez, a descendant of Katipunero, General Potenciano Alinio, and she is also one of the coaches of the 𝗵𝗃𝗵𝘃 play produced by the Bagong Chat Up, by the Rebranding Junquera Street Program Partners, and by the Bagong Teatro Junquera. So, unsa man, do we have already the, wala pa. So, and of course, on May 10 is the Gabi sa Kabilin. So, we also invite you. So, we have also on April 13. So, former Senator Nikki Coseteng. So, may we show our other events? Michael, other events. April 13. So, on April 13, the former Senator Nikki Coseteng, who also published the book Sinaunang Hobby or The Ancient Weaving in the Philippines, will be with us to discuss heritage fashion with on April 13, 2024, and on May 10 is the Gabi sa Kabilin. So as of now, the tickets, if you would register for this, is still free for the regular ticket, but for the premium ticket with the Tartanilla ride and with the free bus ride, it's 300 pesos. And it's an access to all the 20 participating museums, including 𝗵𝗃, the Cebu Heritage Hotel's Galeria Independencia. So, Are we ready with the announcement? So do we still have a final look of our cosplayers? So we have our, can we adjust the camera? And we have, yes, the camera. So we have, is someone, yes. So we have our Yawa of Iligan, Alanis. Can we show? Pwede ma-remove ang microphone? So, pwede mo paso na lang. So we have our Yawa of Iligan, Alanis. Alanis. We have the Yawa of Camotes, Chari. Not a music. We have Yawa of Candulawan, Stephanie. And we have Yawa of 𝗪𝗏𝗃𝗁𝗀. And we have Yawa of Leyte, Joshua. And of course, we have our guest Yawa CM with her assistant si Dapa, the Diwata of Death. So pwede mo balik sa taas. So now we are getting ready for our announcement of the winners. So we request our judges to nanatay prizes for them. Wala pa? So while we are waiting for, may we still show our diwata? So we have, so there is a, while we are waiting for the decision, Rose Ann Ayuno of CTU is asking, are there any modern-day efforts to revive the role of the babaylan in Filipino indigenous communities? I think there are still babaylanes, there are baylan, and even in the, until today, the babaylan or the baylan, there are now male baylan. There are still babaylan. There are baylan in indigenous communities until today. So, there is a question also from Ezra from CTU main campus. I would like to ask, what role does Yawa play in the linguistic landscape of the Philippines? Is it primarily used in informal speech, or does it have a formal application as well? So, also man si Dr. George Gapon the question is, while we are waiting for the decision, the question is, does Yawa play, what role does Yawa play in the linguistic landscape of the Philippines? Is it used in informal speech, or does it have a formal application? Wala. Sige, si Dr. George.
I think ito naman colloquial, more on profanity, expression of surprise or anger. So those kinds of expressions. But in terms of formal usage, I think in these cases, mga academic or historical, cultural studies. So it's becoming popular, but there can still be more that can be done to learn more about what else the Visayans were like in pre-colonial times. So that can be a window to the study of our history and culture, ang Yawa nga word.
So dahil salamat to Dr. George. So Dr. George recommends for more study on the word Yawa. So now we announce the winners of our cosplay contest. We have our consolation prize winners. So we have our, pwede mo dool na lang diri sa camera now to those, the consolation prize winners are, drum roll dia. Wala. The consolation prize winners are Stephanie of Candulawan and Alanis of Iligan. So congratulations for winning the consolation prize. And you get the Instagram, asan ni sila? Hilot sa tiil from our 𝗕𝗵𝘀𝗆𝗵𝗀 So, daghang salamat to Alanis and Stephanie. So, pwede mo balik lang mo dito. And then, so our top 3, pwede mo na, our top 3 are, 𝗬𝗵𝗀𝗆𝗃 of Camotes, 𝗬𝗂𝗃 of Masbate, pwede mo doon sa camera. And then you go up sa constellation. So we have the top 3 are 𝗬𝗃 of Camotes, 𝗬𝗂 of Masbate, and Joshua of Leyte. So, kisa inyong bet. So we would announce first the third prize winner. So our third placer is Yawa of Masbate, 𝗬𝗂. Yes. Na-picture na. Si 𝗬𝗂 of Masbate as the third prize winner. So congratulations, 𝗬𝗂. Murag, naakay prize, pero wala diri sa akong notes. So, congratulations. Now, we have the final 2. But the final 2 contestants, pwede mo saka si 𝗬𝗂. So, kisa inyong bet online. Kisa inyong bet sa kinsa sa magunitanay na rin sila. So, kisa inyong bet. Is it the Yawa of Leyte, Joshua, or the Yawa of Camotes, 𝗬𝗃? Kisa inyo. So, number 𝗬𝗃 or Joshua? Number 2 or number 5? Number 2 or number 5? So, our grand winner for Diwata Yawa is, drum roll, congratulations to the Yawa of Camotes, 𝗬𝗃, and the second placer is the Yawa of Leyte, Joshua. So, daghang salamat to everyone. Congratulations to all winners. Thank you to our panelists, Dr. Lenny Ecuaciones and Dr. George Bernaga. Thank you to our partners, Bisdak Pride. Daghang salamat to our reactor from Curls, Bon, and also to our partners, University of San Carlos, Bisdak Pride, Central Visayas Association of Museums, Diyandi Heritage Center, and 𝗪𝗏𝗄𝗆. Daghang salamat o a happy celebration of the Women's Month.